This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
They're inside the final furlong, and it's Zulu Alpha who shows the way a couple of lengths clear of Arklow, and back to this is boxing on. Zulu Alpha is the leader, well in control of the $1 million Calumet Farm Kentucky Turf Cup. Zulu Alpha wins by 4 lengths.
One-timer, the leader by 2. Run Curtis runs second. Nothing yet from Big Invasion. Stitched is next to the outside. One-timer's run away. One-timer has run away to win the Franklin Simpson by 4 lengths.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
They are homeward bound now, and Mike Smith asks Songbird to respond. She does so willingly. Pretty and Cool's running a huge one on the inside, but Songbird's class is sticking out a mile. She's just exuding class. Songbird and Mike Smith could not have been more impressive in the Del Mar debut. They finished up romping in.
Kitten's Joy set down for the drive, and here he comes now. Oh, and he's got plenty of run. Kitten's Joy taking the lead with an impressive turn of foot. Oh my! Kitten's Joy just blowing Magistrati away in Tycoon. Oh, this is a very good 3-year-old. Kitten's Joy wins by 3 emphatic lengths.
Now here's Mike Penna.
Good morning once again, everyone. Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch. Happy to have you with me on the show that launched a network, and it is all right here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Happy to have you in the saddle with me for the next 3 hours on Sirius 162, XM 207, our affiliates in Lexington, Louisville, and across the country, and streaming worldwide and podcast on our website, horseracingradio.net, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Well, the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar continuing to edge ever closer. Now just 54 days, 15 hours, 57 minutes, and 51 seconds away from right now. That's a great thought, isn't it? And the racing action continues to heat up. We talked about that last weekend with the Pacific Classic, the Jockey Club Gold Cup, and I asked you which of those two was the deeper prep race for the Breeders' Cup Classic, both featuring superstars in our sport right now. And if I were to ask you that question this morning, knowing what unfolded in that roughly run edition of the Jockey Club Gold Cup, I wonder what the answers would be. Which do you think is going to prove the more productive prep race for the Breeders' Cup Classic? I mean, Fierceness overcame a little bit of trouble. Showed a little bit of a different dimension, I think, than what we're seeing from Fierceness. And he delivered. With that trip to the West Coast, he delivered a huge win in the Pacific Classic. Journalism, he was no match. Had his chances, just wasn't as good as Fierceness last weekend. Maybe that changes when we get to Del Mar on November 1st and a run in the Breeders' Cup Classic. The Jockey Club Gold Cup, just forget about that. Just throw the results out. Antiquarian, good horse. Very good horse. But he's not Mind Frame. He's not Sierra Leone. Not in a race that unfolds the way you expect it to unfold. But with all of the incident that took place in that race, you have to now take a step back and say, okay, what are we looking at here? Sierra Leone still ran on incredibly well. And if you're going to look at the Breeders' Cup Classic, you have to talk about Sierra Leone. He's the defending champion in that race, right? So this morning as we sit here, we can spin that question I asked you last week and say, okay, which of those races is going to prove to be the most productive prep race for the Breeders' Cup Classic? And I'll take it a step further. Let's give you 4 horses in our poll question this morning. 4 horses coming out of those 2 races last weekend. Which horse not named Sovereignty, because I think we can all agree he looks to be the horse to beat in the Breeders' Cup Classic right now? I know he hasn't faced older horses yet. He still has to answer that question. He will answer that in the Breeders' Cup Classic, but my goodness, has he been good. So which horse not named Sovereignty should be considered the top contender for the Breeders' Cup Classic? Fierceness, Sierra Leone, Mindframe, or Journalism? Which of those four? Now, I know you can't include 5 choices on social media, so NYSO should be on this list. After having to miss the Pacific Classic, hopefully everything goes well. He gets back, he makes his next start, and then he proceeds on to the Classic as expected. But let's leave him on the sidelines for now. Which horse not named Sovereignty should be considered the top contender for the Breeders' Cup Classic? Fierceness, Sierra Leone, Mindframe, or Journalism? Are you still a believer in Journalism? And does that in any way, his defeat to Fierceness, change your opinion of the three-year-old crop facing older horses? Again, Sovereignty still has not done that, but Sovereignty has proven to be better than Journalism every time they met. So I think you say, okay, Sovereignty belongs. Journalism still trying to prove that he belongs at that top level, at the 1.25 mile distance, too. Keep that in mind. Is there a chance that the connections of Journalism turn around and say, boy, maybe the 1.25 mile just isn't his best game? Maybe he goes in the dirt mile. Think about that for a minute. But for now, we're going to leave him in this Classic discussion. I mean, you run second in the Pacific Classic, you deserve to be in this conversation. So which horse not named Sovereignty should be considered the top contender for the Breeders' Cup Classic? Is it Fierceness? Is it Sierra Leone, Mindframe, Journalism? You can go to @HRRN on X to cast your vote there. You can do it on our Facebook page. Horse Racing Radio Network is where you will find us there. And if you don't do social media, email the show. Let me know your thoughts. Mike@horseracingradio.net. I think it's an interesting discussion. You have to include Sierra Leone, of course. You have to include the defending champion. And he has been in very, very good form over the past few starts. Never seems to run a bad race. And then you have Mindframe. Mindframe, in many people's eyes, was the horse to beat for the Breeders' Cup Classic. Then he has all this trouble, loses his rider. Thank goodness Gerardo Ortiz Jr. is fine. But you draw a line through that race, and does that race affect him mentally in any way? Probably not. He's probably fine. And you would expect that he comes back and he's the same mind frame we're used to seeing in his next start. And if he is, look out. Because he has been brilliant. So I think this is a really interesting poll question. Curious to get your thoughts. I will update it as we move throughout the program here this morning. Speaking of the program, lots of things to get to. Going to talk about the win and you're in action taking place at Kentucky Downs this afternoon. Going to be joined by trainer Ignacio Correas, who is going to saddle Utah Beach in the Kentucky Turf Cup Invitational. That's a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Turf Division. Nacho will be with me, 9:20 Eastern Time. He also has Ira Stark in the Ladies Marathon Invitational, so keep that in mind. You also have 6 stakes races at Colonial Downs, highlighted by the Grade 3 Old Dominion. Jason Beem is the man who will call all the action for you. He'll join me at 9:40 Eastern Time. And then tomorrow we look ahead to the future stars of the sport with the Grade 1 Del Mar Futurity. And you're going to hear from owner Tom Ryan and owner Jack Wolf. They will join me together at 9 Eastern. That should be a really fun segment. And Jack has some other cool things to talk about outside of horse racing. I'll leave that there for a minute, and you'll hear from Jack coming up 9 Eastern along with Tom Ryan. They are partners in Balboa and Litmus Test in that 6-horse Del Mar Futurity. And how crazy is this? 6 horses in that race tomorrow. 4 are trained by Bob Baffert, 2 by Doug O'Neill. That's it. No other trainers represented. Baffert, of course, the trainer of both Balboa and Litmus Test. So we'll get a chance to check in with Jack and with Tom Ryan in the beginning of hour number 2. But let me give you the full lineup here for you this morning. In just a minute, when I come back from our first commercial break, you're going to hear from Kurt Becker, the announcer at Keeneland. He will join me live to look ahead to the Keeneland September Yearling Sale, the world's yearling sale, if you will. That begins on Monday, the first of 12 sessions taking place on Monday. More than 6,600 horses have been cataloged. 4,686 horses cataloged for the 12-session sale, and it runs through September 20th. So Kurt will preview the 82nd edition of that sale here in just a few minutes. Kevin Kerstein going to join me 8:45 Eastern to look ahead to what's beginning on Thursday. That is the Churchill September Meet. The 14-day meet begins 5 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, runs through September 28th. Total of 11 stakes races. You got the Lucas Classic, the Locust Grove, the Road to the Kentucky Derby, and the Kentucky Oaks kicking off. Really fun stuff to talk about with Kevin at 8:45. Again, Tom Ryan, Jack Wolf, 9 o'clock, 9:20. Down the road to the Breeders' Cup with trainer Ignacio Correas. Jason Beem at 9:40. 10 o'clock Eastern begins hour 3. The TwinSpires Triple Play. Joe Kristufek will join me to give you 3 races to watch and wager on with TwinSpires this afternoon. Kurt Becker, his weekly Stroll Through Racing History comes your way at 10:20. And at 10:30, I Ask, They Answer with Dale Romans with Tim Wilkin. Time now to check in with our producer, Lee Delapina. He has this week's Impossible Trivia question. Lee?
All right, Mike. Well, you finally got one right. Now, all of a sudden, my questions aren't hard enough for you. Okay, we'll try this one on for size. What was the name of the thoroughbred who was 2-year-old champ in 1907, 3-year-old champ in 1908, and retired undefeated after winning all 15 of his starts? What was his name? No Googling. We'll give out the answer at the end of the show.
Yeah, Lee, a little surly this morning after so many of you getting that one right last weekend. Good luck with this one. This is a tough one. The answer comes your way 10:55 Eastern in the final segment of the show. Kurt Becker joins me to kick things off. Look ahead to the Keeneland September sale. That's next on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, Horse Racing's voice.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Millridge is recognized with raising and selling exceptional athletes.
Test Score, a convincing winner of the Belmont Derby Invitational. World Beater and Junior Alvarado have won the Saratoga Derby Invitational.
Test Score and World Beater became the 40th and 41st Grade 1 winners raised or sold by Millridge since 2000, and they continue to exceed the odds of only 0.18% of all thoroughbreds winning a Grade 1, with Millridge and their clients experiencing closer to a 3% strike rate. Consider your next Grade 1 winner this September with the Millridge Consignment.
The 14-day September meet at Churchill Downs begins Thursday, September 11th with live racing through Sunday, September 28th. A total of 11 stakes will be contested across the September meet, featuring the $500,000 Lucas Classic, the $400,000 Locust Grove, and the kickoff to the Road to the Kentucky Derby and Oaks with the $300,000 Iroquois and $300,000 Pocahontas. The September meet will run Wednesday through Sunday. First post is 12:45 p.m. most days, with a special 5 p.m. first post each Thursday for Twilight Thursday. Horse players will have plenty of opportunities to score at the meet with a new $3 late pick 3 with a low 15% takeout rate. For more information about the September meet, visit ChurchillDowns.com and follow Churchill Downs on all social media platforms.
It's time now to shine the spotlight on the Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week.
As they come to the 16th pole, and out wide Red Beretta with Meringue. Chances coming from around the world. Soloist On the inside to a flame. Meringue out wide with a big dive. Meringue from either Red Beretta to a flame or Rose Room, who's come from nowhere. Blanket finish in the juvenile fillies.
Meringue, the daughter of Darley Stallion Frosted, took home top prize in the $1 million Kentucky Downs Juvenile Filly Stakes, a victory most worthy of making her your Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week. Darley Stallion Frosted now has 8 stakes winners in 2025, including 2 juveniles, and is represented by Royal Ascot Group 1 sprinter Frosted Dawn. Learn more about Frosted and all the Darley Stallions by visiting darleymerica.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Farda Amiga's revving up quickly on the far side and take the cake in the stretch run. It's Take Charge Lady responding to the challenge of you. She opens it up to 2 again. You can't go with her second. Farda Amiga's the fresh challenger. Habibti on the far side, switched out for clear sailing down to the final furlong. D'Amico goes to work on Take Charge Lady, and she's collared by Farda Amiga on the outside. Take Charge Lady digs in. Farda Amiga surging. Farda Amiga gets to the front. Farda Amiga and Chris McCarron getting up to win the 128 Kentucky Oaks. Take Charge Lady second, and Habibti was third in 150-2.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, with you right up until 11 a.m. Eastern, as always, on this Saturday morning. The voice you just heard, the late Luke Kreitbosch. Man, anytime you can work in a Luke call, you try to do it. That was the 2002 renewal of the Kentucky Oaks, won by Farda Amiga, who is a graduate of the Keeneland September Yearling Sale, the 2000 edition of that particular sale. Sold for $45,000, went on to earn $1.282 million in her racing career. Kurt Becker joins me now. He's the announcer at Keeneland. He will be announcing throughout the sale, which begins on Monday, the September Yearling Sale. Kurt, I'll tell you what, you buy a horse for $45K, they go on and make over $1.2 million. I would call that a shrewd investment, my friend.
Yeah, I would agree, Mike, and that's one of the things that's so neat about the September sale is, Farda Amiga, she was one of those that when she came through, she had some, in some people's view, a minor issue with she didn't fully vet, as the saying goes, and then she turns out to be a dual Grade 1 winner and a champion. So that's one of the great things about it. You just never know where they might come from.
That is one thing that I've talked about on this program for many years now, and we're so fortunate and have been for more than 20 years to be so closely tied to the breeding industry and the sales industry throughout central Kentucky and around the country. But, Kurt, you talk about her not fully vetting, as the term goes. So something wasn't right on the x-rays, the vet report, whatever it might be. But how often, it's incredible how often we see horses that maybe don't have the perfectly clean vet report that go on and become champions, become Grade 1 winners. It happens all the time.
It really does. When I started working sales as one of the announcers for the Keeneland auctions, it was 25 years ago, and I remember I had been a racetrack guy primarily, and I started hearing folks talk about, does this horse vet? Are the breathing passages okay? Did the vet pass the horse with regard to the bone structure and things of that nature? I think in the case of Farda Amiga, she had OCDs, and all that is it's a situation where maybe the bones and the cartilage and the joints haven't fully developed in a manner that's ideal. And I remember asking our head auctioneer, Ryan Mahan, at the time, I said, are there ever any of these yearlings that don't pass the vet that go on to race well and even be Grade 1 winners? And he started laughing, and he said all the time. I mean, it's really kind of surprising.
Kurt, Farda Amiga is the subject of your Stroll Through Racing History segment presented by Keeneland. That comes up in the third hour of the program right around 10:20 Eastern time or so. It's extremely – so many people – since I have you here with me on the show, I'm going to tell you in person here rather than sending you a text message. So many listeners will take time to send emails, to send messages to me if they have my number, and they will tell me how much they enjoy those Stroll Through Racing History segments. They're among the most popular segments on this show every week. And I say, I've said it before, I'll say it again while you're here, nobody weaves a story together like Kurt Becker, my friend.
Well, I appreciate that, Mike, and I always appreciate the feedback from the listeners, and here's why. I know on occasion you have forwarded emails to me where somebody might say, hey, do you think Kurt could ever do a feature on this horse or that horse? And what I love about that, racing fans all have their own memories, and I don't care if they grew up going to Keeneland, going to Saratoga, if they grew up going to a regional track in the Midwest where I grew up. There are horses that stand out in their mind. You know, it might be, man, I remember the day I cashed a ticket on this horse, or I remember the day I looked up and I saw this horse in the paddock and I said, man, there's a champion. And I enjoy that, because every single time that we've ever gotten a recommendation from a listener, I always end up saying, okay, I wish I had thought of this, because they always tend to be really good storylines.
There is another angle to that story when it does air at 10:20 Eastern. And again, we'll encourage people to stay tuned for that. And if they miss it, they can check out the podcast of all of your stories available on our website. But Farda Amiga was raised at Payson Stud by Stuart Angus. Stuart recently passed away on August 28th. He lost his long battle with cancer. He worked at TaylorMade. He died at the age of 60. And Kurt, for all of us who knew Stuart, got a chance to spend some time around him, a wonderful horseman, but I think an even better person would be the way to describe him.
I would agree. In fact, just before I came on the air, I was here at Keeneland this morning talking to Josie Mattmiller, who's a member of our sales team, and she had worked with Stuart during her time at TaylorMade Sales Agency, and she said she essentially described him as a mentor, and I saw a headline upon his passing that said that he was not only an excellent horseman, that he was a mentor to many, and I think that's a great way to put it. And he very much loved this game, and you're right. Early in his career, he was at Payson Stud, and he was one of the members of the staff there that oversaw Farda Amiga when she was a baby and watched her grow up to maturity. And he had some great moments in this game. He made a lot of friends in this game. There was a celebration of life for Stuart just a few nights ago here in Lexington, and robust attendance. So many people showed up wanting to pay their respects, celebrate his life, and just remember the friend that he was to so many in the industry.
Keeneland announcer Kurt Becker joining me here on the Horse Racing Radio Network, the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Kurt, let's segue into looking ahead to the 82nd edition of the Keeneland September Yearling Sale, which will begin on Monday. 4,600 plus horses have been cataloged, 4,686, 12 sessions. The sale runs through September 20th. When you think about the Keeneland September Yearling Sale, what are some of the words that you use to describe it when you talk to people?
Well, you know, I know that one of the words that I will often hear other people use is they will refer to it as a marathon, and they will say to me, well, are you all set for the Keeneland September Marathon? For the reason you mentioned, all the 4,700 horses and 12 days of sales and so on. And my response to that always is I enjoy it, because you get a different set of horses from day to day, from book to book. You get kind of different tiers, TIERS, so to speak. And I tell you what I find fascinating about the sale is the fact that you've got I think maybe if you had to pin me down, your question was, what's the word? I would say global. It's amazing the global audience that comes to this sale. I mean, you've got yearlings represented by like 180, 190 stallions in these various books combined. And Keeneland has worked hard. Our staff has traveled a lot of miles to bring clientele from all points on the globe to be here to bid and to buy yearlings. And I would say global probably is next to marathon is one of the first words that comes to my mind.
There are more than 1,400 horses cataloged by first crop sires, such as you have 2022 Horse of the Year Flightline, who you had the opportunity to call at Keeneland, winning the Breeders' Cup Classic. Simply brilliant racehorse. Now we get to see his babies go through the auction ring. You have Corniche, Epicenter, Golden Pal, Jack Kristufek, Jackie's Warrior, Life is Good, Mandaloon, so many others. Those were household names in the sport of thoroughbred racing, and now we get to watch their babies enter the sales ring and then go on to hopefully brilliant careers as well.
I agree, Mike. Flightline, I think it's safe to say, was and is a generational horse. Epicenter, you mentioned champions like him, Flightline, a horse of the year. You think about Jackie's Warrior, three Grade 1 wins in 3 different years at Saratoga. I think he was the first horse ever to do that. Golden Pal, the 2-time Breeders' Cup winner. Life is Good is an interesting horse to me because when you mentioned Flightline and how he wrapped up his career here at Keeneland in the Breeders' Cup Classic, I will always have a lot of respect not only for Flightline but for Life is Good, because going into that race, the general thought was, okay, Flightline's going to win. It's just a question of how big the margin of victory is. And I've always said when Life is Good ran that day, that to me was a classic example of the sportsmanship aspect of horse racing. Okay, we get it. Flightline is the favorite, and rightly so. But we're going to go out there and we're going to run against him and we're going to make him earn it. And I remember when they turned for home, I've heard people say on occasion, well, Flightline, he just ran right past Life is Good. And I always say, no, he didn't, because I remember just for that split second or so, I remember thinking in the back of my mind, ooh, Life is Good was a little stubborn to get by. And again, I get it. Flightline eventually got by him and went on to win impressively. But I will always respect Life is Good and his connections as well, because I thought, it was kind of an attaboy moment. It was a sportsmanlike move. We'll put our horse up against yours. May the better horse win. And I thought it was a fantastic renewal of the Classic.
Your voice, Kurt Becker, is the voice that so many racing fans have become familiar with. You have become identifiable with Keeneland Racing, and rightfully so. The only announcer that the racetrack has, full-time announcer that the racetrack has ever known. So people will remember you and recognize your voice for that purpose. But when you're on the auction stand for a sale like the Keeneland September Yearling Sale, you are not the auctioneer. You're not the one playing the Ryan Mahan role and asking for more bids. You are the man reading the pedigree information. Explain your role and take me behind the scenes a little bit as to how you prepare and how all of this comes together to make this sale happen every year.
You're exactly right, Mike. My role as the sale announcer, and Scott Hazelton works alongside of me, and also Mark McKelvey from Woodbine in Toronto. And we each rotate and shifts throughout the day. So our job as the announcer is essentially to jump in and hit the highlights on the horse's pedigree. It's almost like just a quick sales pitch, if you will. Folks, I've said before, these are obviously knowledgeable buyers. These are some of the most knowledgeable men and women in the world that come to Keeneland. So it's not like I'm going to tell them anything they don't already know. But what I can do as an announcer is maybe reinforce something that they might already be thinking. It's no different, Mike, than if you and I are having a conversation, and if I were to say, gosh, I don't know, I'm thinking about betting this horse, but I'm not sure. And if you say, well, look, I think he likes the distance, I think he'll like the surface, he's a horse for the course. Okay, you know what? I'm going to do it. I feel like that humans are humans, and we kind of like to know, hey, am I the only one seeing it this way? So if the announcer happens to say something to the stand that might reinforce a bullet point, so to speak, then I think that's the best thing the announcer can do. The worst thing the announcer can do is to talk too long, because it tends to hurt the momentum of the auction. The auctioneer is the one that's got to be in control. He's got to control the tempo. But if the announcer can work with his tempo, and when it's appropriate, jump in and, again, emphasize a point on that pedigree page. Remind people, hey, don't forget X, Y, or Z about the first dam or about the sire. That, I think, is one of the key roles that the announcer plays.
How do you prepare to read the proper pedigree information, race information on 4,686 horses, Kurt?
Well, one of the things that can be a challenge for me is when I leave Keeneland in the spring at the end of April. Throughout the summertime, I spend a lot of my time doing play-by-play with Motor Racing Network for NASCAR. And I have found, while I do pay attention to what's going on in the world of horse racing, because I'm a fan, number one, that if I'm not careful, where I can run into a challenge is you get on the auction stand and here comes a significant update. And we've all been there. there are horses you've been reading about, especially if you're in the U.S. and you might be reading about a horse in Europe, and there's a huge update from the consignor, and you look down and you think, oh, crap, I've seen this horse's name all year. How do they pronounce it?
That is the worst feeling in the world.
Because you just get that sinking feeling. Everybody in the house knows how to say this except me. So that's what I will do, is I will try to go through as best as I can each session the night before, study the page, go through the update slips that have been submitted, and try to get out in front of that and make sure I confirm those types of things before I get on the stand.
Kurt Becker with me here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Looking ahead to the 82nd edition of the Keeneland September Yearling Sale, begins on Monday. Should be spectacular. 12 sessions running all the way through September 20th. Kurt, when there is a horse that sells for millions and millions of dollars, I will often text you and say, hey, were you on the stand for that, or did somebody else read that information for that horse? Is that the reason the horse brought so much? Because you weren't on the stand. And I'll give you a hard time. But you have been on the stand for so many memorable moments over the years. If you were to think back on your career, reading pedigrees, being an announcer at the Keeneland sales, what are some of the highlights that stand out to you with you sitting there watching these horses in front of you in the ring?
Well, I will say I love bragging rights, and I know you're shocked, but for many years I worked alongside of John Henderson, and he and I were the two sales announcers at Keeneland, and I enjoyed keeping a list of September graduates that would go on to be Grade 1 winners, Classic winners, champions. And I would often go back and pull up the video from when they sold just to see, was it John or myself on the stand? And he and I would always have fun with that kind of a friendly rivalry. I will say this, that's exciting to me to go back, see then what becomes of these horses. I was fortunate enough to be on the stand when Justify sold at Keeneland as a yearling. I can remember there was one year here in the springtime where at the spring meet, Monomoy Girl won the Grade 1 Ashland for the fillies, and Good Magic won the graded Toyota Bluegrass. And those are our two signature events for the springtime. And they had both sold as yearlings at Keeneland September. I had been on the stand for both of those. Ryan Mahan was the auctioneer for both. And, in all seriousness, we do take a sense of pride in that kind of thing. And it's so much fun when we see these yearlings that come through our September sale, then circle back and win at either the spring or the fall meet at some point in their career. That to me is one of the most enjoyable aspects of being on the staff as both the track announcer and as one of the sales announcers.
Such an exciting time to be in Central Kentucky. Not only do you have the Keeneland September Yearling Sale, but then shortly afterwards we turn our attention to the fall meet. 22 stakes races for the 2025 fall meet at Keeneland. They're worth a record $10.85 million. Kurt, you get to be there to call each of those stakes races. How cool is that?
It is. In fact, many years ago, one of my colleagues at the Motor Racing Network, a very good play-by-play announcer by the name of Dave Moody, Dave and I were talking, and there was one year that there was a NASCAR event at the Kentucky Speedway like the weekend before the October race meet began. And I remember Dave and I got to talking. He was talking to me about Keeneland, and he had seen at that time a press release about the stakes and how much money they go for. And I had commented to Dave, I said, man, I get butterflies. I get so nervous. I get so uptight when it comes time for the Keeneland race meets. And I remember he said, he said, I get that. And he said, it's good to have a certain level of nerves because he said, as a broadcaster or an announcer, you channel that energy in the right direction. But he said, I'm looking at this lineup of races that Keeneland's got. He said, man, at some point you need to lighten up and have fun, because he said you ought to be knocking people out of the way to get to that booth and grab that headset and say, all right, let's go. Let's get them in the gate. Let's get this thing going. So it was interesting to get his perspective as someone who's not in the horse business, and I try to remember that. Yeah, it's okay to be nervous, but you need to also enjoy what's going on in front of you.
Kurt, as you were telling that story, I was thinking back on our friend and colleague, the man behind the Saratoga Special, Sean Clancy, and his reply when you were telling him that story. And he said, come on, man, you're calling horse races. You're not curing cancer. It's a horse race.
he was. I happened to catch an interview with Sean here not long ago, and it was in fact it was during the recently completed Saratoga meet, and he was talking about how a lot of times they will leave the office of the Saratoga Special around 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning during the race meet because so much is going on. And I think the way he put it is he made the comment. He said we drink a lot less than most people at Saratoga, and we get a lot less sleep as well.
Fantastic. Kurt, I know you're going to have a tough time finding time to sleep as well over the course of the next month or so, maybe even 2 months leading up to the Breeders' Cup and throughout the Keeneland meet. Enjoy every second of the sale. Enjoy the meet, and we will look forward to catching up again soon, my friend.
Mike, I appreciate it. It's always fun to be on the Equine Forum. And give my best to Dale and Tim, Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin. I get the biggest kick out of their segment. I look forward to that every Saturday.
Yeah, I certainly will. Appreciate it, buddy. Kurt Becker, Keeneland announcer here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. His story, Stroll Through Racing History, which is presented by Keeneland on Farda Amiga. That is the subject coming up at 10:20 Eastern, followed by Dale and Tim with I Ask the Answer at 10:30. That's in hour number 3, but plenty more to come in the first 2 hours of the program, including Kevin Kerstein. He has a look ahead to the the Churchill September Sale, which kicks off on Thursday. That's all ahead after your Legends of the Turf and this short commercial break.
This is the capsulized story of a man who was born in New York City on April 17, 1876. He graduated from Groton, Harvard, and Harvard Law. He inherited his 2,500-acre farm near Bowie, Maryland, and at first loaned out his stables. As his interest and involvement grew, he began breeding and racing horses in his renowned silks, White, Red Spots, Scarlet Cap. He became a prominent banker and sportsman and raced not only with enormous success in this country, but with recognized success in England as well. He bred the vast majority of the horses he raced, most of them at A.B. Hancock's Claiborne Farm near Paris, Kentucky. His own farm in Maryland was devoted mostly to the care of weanlings and as winter quarters for his racing stock. In addition to the success his horses enjoyed on the racetrack, he was equally as well known for the support he steadfastly afforded to measures meant to benefit breeding and racing and to keep the sport on a high plane. In 1935, when he was a guest of the Thoroughbred Club of America in Lexington, Kentucky, he was quoted as saying, quote, "I am very anxious to see the day before I shuffle off this mortal soil when the English will recognize our American stud book in its entirety," end of quote. He raced some of the very best horses in England, thereby showcasing the class of American bloodlines. His primary objective was a victory in the Epsom Derby, a goal he never achieved, sad to relate, but his horse, Prince Simon, was second by a head to Galcador in 1950. His horses won the Kentucky Derby, indeed. Gallant Fox in 1930, Omaha 1935, Johnstown in 1939. Gallant Fox and Omaha both went on to win the Triple Crown. Johnstown barely missed all three jewels by running fifth to Chaladon in the Preakness. Among other racing standouts carrying his colors to the winner's circle were Fairno, Apache, Fenelon, Bonnie Beryl, Granville, Gaffaman, and Vagrancy. He was known as a man of utterly remarkable energy and often climbed out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch his horses work out under the eye of one of the legends of thoroughbred racing, Sonny Jim Fitzsimmons, who trained for him for 30 years. In the world of business, he was the president of New York's Hanover National Bank from 1910 to 1929, and after a merger, chairman of the board of Central Hanover Bank and Trust. His career as a banker had incepted in 1903 after having served 2 years as secretary to the American ambassador in Great Britain. One of the most markedly important contributions to American breeding was his partnership venture with Marshall Field, R.A. Faburn, and A.B. Hancock, importing the great stallion Sir Galahad III from France in 1925, a stallion who became tremendously influential on and a cornerstone, I might add, of American breeding. This particular man was quoted in 1935 as follows, quote, "I believe in changes if they mean advancement and improvement. But as a sports writer friend of mine complimented me by calling me a gentleman of senile virility, I think I may say that the advancing age of the turf is an asset rather than a liability," end of quote. The man herein being profiled was indeed a man of wisdom, foresight, and unqualified personal integrity, and was a man whose racing colors still burn brightly on the pages of racing history, White, Red Spots, Scarlet Cap. He was Mr. William Woodward.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Top consignor Scott Mallory has an exciting group of horses on offer at the Keeneland September Yearling Sale. From solid Book 1 horses by sires like Uncle Mo and Curlin, as well as exciting freshman sire Charlatan. Offerings in Books 2 through 5 include horses by proven sires like Liam's Map, Omaha Beach, Violence, and newcomers such as Drain the Clock, Olympiad, and Jack Christopher.
Don't miss the Scott Mallory consignment starting in Barn 15 at Keeneland September.
Join us at Kentucky Downs August 28th through September 10th, showcasing 7 days of racing with more than $40 million in purses, including the country's richest three-year-old turf race, the Nashville Derby, on Saturday, August 30th. The meet boasts the largest field sizes in America with 6 $2 million races on September 6th and 11 of 19 stakes worth at least $1 million for Kentucky breds, along with 2 Breeders' Cup win-and-you're-in races during the meet. Reserved seats on sale now at themintkentuckydowns.com. There's Unique, and there's Kentucky Downs.
Colonial Downs summer racing season is here with racing 4 days a week. Afternoon racing on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 12:30 p.m. Eastern and a twilight post of 4 p.m. Eastern every Friday. Back is our popular 12% takeout Pick 5 offered twice daily. Join us for our biggest days of the season, August 9th at noon for Colonial Downs Festival of Racing, which features the Arlington Million, and then September 6th, the Grade 3 Old Dominion Derby. Colonial Downs, the race is just the start.
Attention horsemen. Did you know Virginia restricted purses at Colonial Downs are 25% higher than open races? 25%. Virginia bred, Virginia sired, and Virginia certified horses compete for a purse of more than $87,000 for Virginia restricted maidens and $90,000 for Virginia restricted one other than allowance races, with more bonuses available to Virginia certified developers. With the return of the Virginia-Maryland circuit, it makes more sense than ever to get Virginia certified.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
From the back of the pack, Rattle and Roll revs up far outside 4th. Bullseye cut the corner 5th. Disarm with a lot of work to do. They're off the turn and heading for the 8th pole. Cook Creek trying to tough it out, but Hit Show's coming on from the outside. Warrior Johnny is green in behind. Disarm had to dive to the rail. Rattle and Roll final 16th. Hit Show's up for the lead. Cook Creek tries to fight with Hit Show. Is doing so. Cook Creek coming back on Hit Show, but Hit Show determined. Hit Show, the winner in the end, running down Cook Creek, who is game all the way to the wire. Farther back, either Disarm or Rattle and Roll.
Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, back with you here on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. That was Travis Stone with the call of last year's Lucas Classic, won by Hit Show for trainer Brad Cox. The Lucas Classic, one of 11 stakes races set to be contested at the upcoming Churchill September Meet, which begins on Thursday. The 14-day meet runs through September 28th. It is going to be fantastic, and nobody knows that better than Kevin Kerstein. He joins me now here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Kevin, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. I just watched Hit Show work a half mile not too long ago, so a good segue to this segment.
Yeah, pretty good horse. Is he going to defend his title?
You know, it seems that way. He looked pretty good this morning. Florent Giroux was on him, and yeah, the Lucas Classic, as you mentioned, it's a jam-packed meet with the $500,000 Lucas Classic, really the highlight of the meet on the closing Saturday in September. So it's going to be a fun 14 days, and really looking forward to that renewal, and it'll be an emotional renewal, of course, without Mr. Lucas here with us.
Yep. I was going to ask you that question. Anything special planned on the part of Churchill Downs to remember the coach on the day of the Lucas Classic?
Yeah, there'll definitely be some stuff, and that'll be the focal point, I think, of that entire day is, remembering Wayne on that day. And, it it was always special to see him present the trophy for the Lucas Classic. And there'll be some stuff that we'll have up our sleeves for that day, and really looking forward to that day. But we'll be missing Wayne as I'm standing right now close to barn 44. It's not the same without Wayne Lucas here at Churchill Downs.
No, certainly not. As cool as it is to talk about the older horse division, there are, and that's of course what we'll see with the Lucas Classic. Kevin, there is something for everybody in this 14-day September meet, because you have sprinters in the ACAC, you have the Locust Grove, you have the road to the Kentucky Derby, the road to the Kentucky Oaks kicking off with this meet as well. That is really fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a great place for some horses that are planning maybe to go out west for the Breeders' Cup and at Del Mar to get a local prep here, or even if they are maybe not eyeing the Breeders' Cup and they're eyeing maybe some races over at Keeneland, to be able to have a prep here before they go over to Keeneland. It's going to be a great 14 days of racing. You mentioned a couple of those races, the Iroquois and the Pocahontas, both the kickoff legs for the road to the Kentucky Derby and road to the Kentucky Oaks, respectively. The Derby is 238 days away. We're always thinking Derby here, and the Iroquois is shaping up to be a good start here. It's a one-turn mile with the Iroquois. We changed that a couple of years ago, and it's sort of a nice progression, because then you can go to the two-turn Breeders' Futurity at Keeneland and then on to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile this year over at Del Mar. So it'll be a nice progression for some horses. Comport, undefeated, looking to probably be one of the favorites in there. Another horse that could be in that race is Blackout Time, who worked this morning for Kenny McPeak. Really sharp-looking maiden winner this summer at Ellis Park. And you're right, it's really something for everyone. All those divisions are sort of filled to either go to Keeneland for the next level, or maybe go on to the Breeders' Cup World Championships.
And we've seen several horses come from races like the Iroquois and the Pocahontas and have an impact on the road to the Kentucky Derby, the road to the Kentucky Oaks, as the calendar turns to the next year. So these are horses that you'll want to keep an eye on. Not just the horses that win those races, Kevin, but the horses that finish behind them.
Yeah, absolutely. And, with the Iroquois and the Pocahontas kicking off the prep season for each of those roads respectively, it's sort of like the foundation building for these 2-year-olds that we're seeing, is just getting their feet underneath them, getting some experience against winners, and trying to see if they're meant to go for the 2 turns in the 1.25 mile distance in the Kentucky Derby. So there's some horses that, might not handle the 1-turn mile in the Iroquois. They might, get a couple of points for running second, third, or fourth or whatnot, and then be a main factor when those distances get longer. So definitely keep an eye on some of those horses. Along with the Iroquois and the Pocahontas, we're going to have several maiden special weight races for 2-year-olds here this September. The first one is going to be on Thursday, which is a 2-year-old filly maiden special weight. That got 25 or 26 horses that entered it yesterday. So the 2-year-olds are plenty back here at Churchill Downs. So we'll be probably at least a maiden race every single day here in the September meet. And so definitely keep an eye, keep some notes on those horses moving forward to some bigger events next spring.
I also love when racetracks get creative and introduce new wagers, and Churchill is doing that with the September meet. Going to debut a $3 late pick 3. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, the $3 late pick 3, a horse player friendly 15% takeout. I've certainly enjoyed it playing this summer at Del Mar. I've liked to dive into that every day. It's challenging because with the higher denomination, it makes you challenge that you can't use so many combinations or so many horses on your ticket because it gets too expensive. But the payouts are plenty, so I think it's going to be a fun way, to get some people talking about this late sequence. You always sort of seem to talk about either the Derby City 6 jackpot or the late pick 5 for those last 5 races. This $3 late pick 3 gets a talking point for those last 3 races. It'll be fun for horse players to try and decipher, and I think the payouts could be very plentiful compared to a 50-cent based wager.
Yeah, it knocks me out of the box. The only way I string 3 winners together is if I go all. It's the only chance I have.
Well, that could get a little expensive, but, you never know. I mean, take a shot, Mike. Come on. It's gambling.
I have to stick with my trifectas, and mostly trifectas exactas. I play win place on horses. If I try to get cute and play pick 3s and pick 4s, it to me, it's like playing golf, right? I get very angry on the golf course because I know I can do it, but I can't do it. Right? If I try to, I know I can pick horses. I know I can pick winners, but I can't do it over a 3 or 4 race span, and I'm always out after the first leg, and that ticks me off, like losing 3 balls on the first hole. That makes me mad, and then I'm mad for the rest of the cards. So,
Well, that's why I threw away my golf clubs a couple of years ago in the dumpster, and I don't golf anymore because I got the same frustrations. But in horse racing, you could play a pick 5, get bounced after the first leg. Oh, let's play a pick 4, get bounced. Now you can play a $3 late pick 3 and give it a shot. And if you don't win, there's always tomorrow.
Yeah, I love it. Maybe take advantage of the $2 domestic beers. That's on opening night, right?
Yeah, opening night, Twilight Thursdays. So the Thursdays in September, we're going to run at the 5 o'clock post time. Those are fun cards. Thursdays will be 8 races each Thursday in September, and then 12:45 for every other day. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we'll add the Wednesdays for the last 2 weeks of the September meet. So it's going to be mostly afternoon racing at 12:45, but those Thursdays will be a fun card if you're in the Louisville area to come out, get those $2 beers, live music, food trucks. It'll be it's a fun evening of racing, and it doesn't go too late until about 8:30, so not quite past my bedtime.
With all due respect to what we see in the spring meet, where the focus is on the Kentucky Derby and all those big races taking place early on in the meet, this is such a fun time to be a racing fan and pay attention to racing in Kentucky. Kurt Becker was just with me in the previous segment talking about the Keeneland September Yearling Sale and then looking ahead to the fall meet. But that comes on the heels of this Churchill September meet. But the Churchill September meet comes on the heels of Kentucky Downs and Ellis Park, where the racing was really strong this summer, too.
Yeah, it absolutely was. It was a great summer at Ellis Park, and we're seeing just the year-round circuit here in Kentucky be so strong, and it's sort of different depending on what season it is. The September meet, as we've gone back earlier in the segment, it's something for everyone. It's horses that are getting back. Maybe they tried to go for that big money down in Franklin, Kentucky on the turf, and they might want to run back here on the dirt because they weren't quite suited for the turf down there. It's the horses from Ellis, who's going to be the stronger circuit, and then you're having horses that are sort of prepping for that, close out their second half of the year in the fall campaign. The September meet heels on the Keeneland fall meet, which is always a good time in Kentucky, and then coming back for the fall season here at Churchill Downs, right around the corner, there's going to be lots of action there too. So it's going to be a fun, jam-packed 14 days of racing, action every single day, and it'll be fun to close the second half of the year, starting back here at Churchill next week.
Kevin, always great to catch up, and you're always so willing to join me here on the program. Really appreciate it. Keep it rolling, and let's have a great September meet.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Mike. Good luck, everybody.
You got it, buddy. Kevin Kerstein here on HRRN. Again, that meet at Churchill kicking off on Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern, the first post, 14 days running through September 28th. When I come back, I'll tell you where you need to go to enjoy a wonderful meal if you're going to be at Keeneland, at Churchill, anywhere in central Kentucky over the next month or two. I'll do that, and I'll get you ready for hour number 2. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
We have the world at our fingertips, inspiration in our touch, and power in our hands. Our hands, gentle enough to hold the next generation, yet strong enough to build movements that can change the world. Our hands can build relationships, frame ideas, and empower communities. We have the ability to share and imagine, create and comfort, love and heal the world around us. And it doesn't stop there. Right here, in our hands, we have the power to save a life. If you see a teen or adult suddenly collapse, call 911 and push hard and fast in the center of the chest.
The power is in your hands.
Anthem Foundation is the proud national supporter of the American Heart Association's Hands Only CPR campaign.
Thursday evenings, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern, is the Brisnet.com call-in show. It's your chance to call in and let the Horse Racing Radio Nation know what's on your mind. Call us at 888-966-HRRN. That's 888-966-4776. And discuss the topics you choose in the world of thoroughbred racing. The Brisnet.com call-in show. Sirius 162, XM 207, and streaming live at horseracingradio.net. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Balboa on top around the far turn. Stablemate Huber takes second now on the outside. AP again is back running in third. Then Parker's Candy and Noble Testament. Balboa getting away now as they come to the top of the stretch. Juan Hernandez and Balboa have opened up here. They're in the clear by 4 and looking good. Balboa bounding by the 8th pole with a 4-length lead on Huber. Up into third is Parker's Candy, but as they come down to the 16th pole, this one's over. It's all Balboa. Balboa just striding under the wire by 8 lengths in the end. Huber was second, and then came Parker's Candy.
Larry Colmus with the call. Balboa throwing the knockout punch in his maiden win on August 10th at Del Mar. Bob Baffert, the trainer, will be ridden by Kazushi Kimura coming up on Monday on tomorrow, Sunday. What is today? Today's Saturday, right? Saturday morning here on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Happy to have you along for the ride. Balboa. Really interesting looking 2-year-old, but he's going to have to contend with Brandt just to his inside, another Baffert contender who was even money on the morning line under Flavien Prat. Balboa, one of 2 horses in the Del Mar Futurity, owned in partnership by Tom Ryan of SF Bloodstock, Jack Wolf of Starlight Racing. The 2 of them will join me coming up at 9 o'clock Eastern in just about 5 minutes from right now. Jack also has some other cool news to tell you about, which is one of the reasons I asked him to join me here on the program. It doesn't have anything to do with horse racing, but in a way it kind of does. So I'll tie it all together for you coming up in just a few minutes. If you're going to be in Central Kentucky, we've been talking about Churchill, we've been talking about Keeneland. If you're going to be in Central Kentucky for any reason, head out to Tony's of Lexington. I tell you all the time, every week on this program, I tell you it is the best steak you will have anywhere. Certainly the best steak I've ever had anywhere. The service is incredible. The atmosphere is fantastic. They're located on Main Street just behind Rupp Arena. Do not delay. Get your reservations now. Tony's of Lexington. You tell them that the Baron was talking about him on the radio and told you to come in, and you will not be disappointed. You'll be thanking me afterwards. I promise you that. So many of you actually have done that, and I appreciate it. Go enjoy a great meal. Tony's of Lexington. If you still have a few days to be at Kentucky Downs. If you're going to be in that area, you can head to Tony's of Bowling Green. Same restaurant, same owner, same service, same great steak. I promise you they'll take great care of you at Tony's of Lexington and Tony's of Bowling Green. And by the way, they have one in Cincinnati too. Yeah, really, really incredible food and great people. All right, coming up in hour 2, Tom Ryan, Jack Wolf will kick it off momentarily. You have the Road to the Breeders' Cup segment, Ignacio Correas, Nacho, competing in the Lone Win in Your In event on the U.S. racing calendar this weekend. That takes place at Kentucky Downs. You want to stay tuned for that conversation. And Jason Beem from Colonial at 9:40. He's the man behind the microphone, the man who will be calling all the action. 6 stakes races slated for Colonial Downs this afternoon, including the Grade 3 Old Dominion. So make sure you stay locked in for that interview. 10 o'clock Eastern begins Hour 3. It's the TwinSpires Triple Play with Joe Kristufek. He'll give you 3 races to watch and wager on this afternoon. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History at 10:20. And at 10:30, I Ask, They Answer with Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin. Poll question for you this morning. Which horse not named Sovereignty should be considered the top contender for the Breeders' Cup Classic? And I'm giving you 4 choices. You have Fierceness, winner of the Pacific Classic. You have Sierra Leone, runner-up in that roughly run Jockey Club Gold Cup. You have Mindframe, and you have Journalism. Those are the 4. And I know I've already received an email saying, hey, Baron, what about Nisos? Yeah, Nisos deserves to be on this list, but we're going to leave him on the sidelines for now. You can only put 4 choices on social media. So really that's the reason. But Nisos could be in this conversation, no doubt about it. Deserves to be. But right now, 44% of you are saying it is going to be the defending champion, Sierra Leone, who is the top contender for the Classic, not named Sovereignty. You can keep those votes coming at HRRN on X, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook, or email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net, to let me know your thoughts. Hour 2, straight ahead after this 10-second pause for station identification. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of 3, the Equine Forum, all presented by our friends at TwinSpires on this Saturday morning. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, happy to have you in the saddle with me, taking you up until 11 a.m. Eastern. If you missed any portion of the first hour of the program, well, you missed my conversation with Keeneland announcer Kurt Becker with that preview of the Keeneland September Yearling Sale and a little look ahead to what's coming up at the Keeneland October Race Meet. And you missed Kevin Kerstein talking about the Churchill September Meet, which kicks off 5 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. You can head back to the website, listen to the podcast whenever you have a few minutes. That's horseracingradio.net. You can do that, too, on every podcast platform. Lots of things to look forward to in the world of thoroughbred racing this weekend, and that is going to be, we've been saying that really throughout the entire summer with Del Mar and Saratoga, and we're going to continue to say that same thing about almost every weekend between now and November when the horses return to Del Mar. October 31st, November 1st, 54 days, 14 hours, 58 minutes, and 6 seconds from right now. That is where owner Tom Ryan is hoping to find himself, and maybe it's with one of his 2 horses going in the Del Mar Futurity. Tom, appreciate the visit, my friend.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing really well. Happy to have you back on board. Jack Wolf of Starlight, your partner in those 2 horses in the Del Mar Futurity. We are efforting him right now. Hopefully he can join us in a few minutes. But Tom, let's start with Balboa and Litmus Test. They're going to get a pretty good test in this race.
Yeah, look, it's not an extensive field, but it's a very talented group. Bob has four different horses in there, 4 basically different sets of silks, different ownership groups, and all 4 are very they're entitled to line up in there. We've been delighted with Litmus Test over the last couple of weeks. He's really, really thriving. He's a big horse, really looks like, he wants a mile and beyond, and that should be right up his alley as a 3-year-old. This is a nice test for him. He's got a nice outside draw. Great to have Tyler Gaffalione in to ride him, and we're looking forward to how what he can show us and tell us about his running style. And we're always learning. We're learning from race to race about these horses as to what they like and where they want to be in a race, and hopefully he shows us enough and moves forward from race to race. And a little bit the same with Balboa. Balboa has his first out was pleasing, and his maiden breaking effort was excellent. He won off by 7 lengths in hand, did everything right. Another big, strong, powerful colt, and not this time. He's unstoppable at the moment. Really, he's really an amazing stallion that's starting to really inject brilliance into his stock, and we're excited about him too. He's bred by a great group with the All Balls, and he's owned by a great group with Starlight and Manicat, and we're excited. We're very excited to participate. We've got KK Kimura on him, and looking forward to it.
Tom, one of your partners in those horses, you just mentioned Starlight Manicat. Starlight Racing, owned by Jack Wolf. Jack is also with us now here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Jack, appreciate you taking some time. Tom Ryan is here. We're talking about Litmus Test and Balboa. But I want to ask you, Jack, you've been involved with so many top horses with Tom Ryan, with this team. How does all of this come together, my friend?
Tom Ryan is the genius of the whole thing. So, actually, we started this. Tom approached me. What was it, Tom? Maybe eight years ago, 9 years ago.
Yeah. It's amazing.
And with the idea of trying to raise enough money to go out there and get the Not On Line in Bob Baffert to pick out some yearlings for us, and so here we are. They've done a great job.
Tom, why does this relationship work?
The relationship works through mutual respect, is the way I see it. Look, it's like everything. It works because we have enough success to make it work, and we seem to be able to manifest momentum from year to year to year, which has been great. And back to what Jack said, there's a lot of team involved in this, and it's a big team, and it's Donato and Bob primarily for sure. But we do take the counsel of John Moynihan with Stone Street. We take the counsel of Corbin Bloomberg with Starlight. So there's a lot of we are influenced by a lot of different things here. But we work together as a team. We keep the egos out of the room, and we do our best to create a list of horses that we would like to have in our stable, and we work hard towards raising the capital to be able to buy a big enough spread of horses. We're not trying to buy 4 horses, we're trying to buy 24 horses. And, it is a numbers game, and Jack's been an amazing partner, really. Our first interlude was with Audible and Justify, and how well that worked out. It was just extraordinary. It was great for the Starlight team to be involved in a Triple Crown winner, and it really was the start of something amazing, because we at the time were very focused on going all in on Bob Baffert, and Jack followed me into that fire, thankfully, and we've stayed there ever since. And it's been an incredible ride. Bob's a incredible person to work with. Donato is a wonderful friend on top of being an incredible judge, and it's really forged a lot of fantastic relationships. And to now see sons of our racing stables standing as stud in Kentucky, and the excitement of it all is beyond belief. We're looking forward to the National Treasure Babies next year in Newgate, and we're looking forward to Citizen Bull going to stud potentially next year. All of these things are things that are exciting for our partnership, and we get to share it together and show up on big Saturdays. So we don't win them all, but we win enough.
That's true. That's Tom Ryan, SF Bloodstock, Jack Wolf, Starlight Racing joining me here. They are partners in Litmus Test and Balboa in the Grade 1 Del Mar Futurity, 7/8 of a mile. Jack, let me ask you this question. Tom was talking about Litmus Test being a horse that looks like he wants more distance, and he's going to be better as the distances get longer because he's a big horse. Well, he wins first out at 5.5 furlongs. When you have a horse do that, does it give you maybe even more confidence that this can be a special horse going forward?
Well, I think Bob is one of the best judge of character of the horses, and you can tell in his voice that he thinks a lot of this horse. But I didn't get to see the race, but good Lord, he is. Tom, you were there. This horse is huge. He's got a huge engine, and if he can win at that short distance, things look good for the 2-turn races.
How do you guys top how do you top a horse like Justify winning the Triple Crown as one of your first horses you're involved with? You start at the top of the mountain. How do you top that?
Keep trying.
Well,
it's that simple.
It feels so good. It feels so good, Mike. It's you just want to do it again, or I do.
Yeah,
I guess,
absolutely.
And you know, you got to have a lot of luck in this thing, which we all work hard on it, but you still have to be lucky enough to be at the right place in the right time. But I don't think any of us got complacent after our experience with Justify. Would you say, Tom? I mean, we do the same thing and work as hard, if not harder. So
exactly, and I think what Justify did for us was really signified this is, you know, Bob is a treasure in the sense that, you know, the guy is half horse, and we really wanted to double down on our support of that stable, and I feel like we've been repaid tenfold, and that's something that we hope to continue well into the future. You know, like in our first crop, we produced 3 Grade 1 winners, and we produced, I think, 10 Grade 1 winners in the last 7 years, and hopefully that's a number it's just a foundation of the future.
Each of you have had so much success individually with your horses, and now having all this success together with these partnerships. What advice do each of you give to new owners thinking about getting into the sport of thoroughbred racing? Do they do it with other partners like you're doing now, or do they take it on themselves to try to do it individually? What's the better way to go?
I can talk about Starlight. We've got about 14 partners in Starlight, and I would say probably 8 of those are involved in other horses and other partnerships, and I think it's not a bad idea to, you know, spread the risk, and the more horses, it's a numbers game, like Tom said. But and then again, we've got a couple of new partners that new to the game, and it's very exciting to them. And at the end of the day, I think they're on the right side of the trade, because we have to do all the administrative work, find the good horses, get the right jockeys and all that. And all they have to do is show up at the races and get their picture taken, hopefully.
Yeah. I think Jack's right. I feel like that there's a lot of anxiety in racehorse ownership, and it takes a lot of management. It's not something you can do as a hobby. It's something that, if you're going to do it, it needs to be done in a very clinical way. You know, you've got to know where your horse is at all times and what stage of his training, and et cetera, et cetera. And there's, you know, we go through lots of periods of rehabilitation and all of those things, and you have to take it all into account in the management of all of that. And I feel to really enjoy the sport, it's great to have somebody take care of all those processes, and really for you know, like whether it's a 10% owner or 20% owner or 5% owner for that matter, to be able to show up and to be able to really enjoy horse racing for what it is. It's a sport, it's an entertainment, and to get some genuine entertainment value out of it. Now, we definitely try our best to create some commercial residual value, but it doesn't always happen that way. But I think the best way to create that opportunity for residual value is to have a good spread of horses, whether it's 15, 20, 25. It's very difficult to clip a really good horse that has a genuine value to the stallion market if you've only got 2 or 3. So I really feel like spreading the risk, enjoying racing with a club of people that you have that have a like-minded kind of view on what they want out of the sport. It's great. It's really great. I think partnerships can really help regrow put horse racing back in the mainstream. You know, we've become quite niche, and if we're dependent on individual owners to make the sport great again, I think it's going to take an awful long time and maybe never get there. I think through partnerships and exposure of partnerships, we can really grow this thing, and it's a lot of fun. Racetracks are starting to become very friendly towards partnerships, and I think we need a lot more of that.
Jack, I'm sure you agree.
Well, I agree, and just to give our partnership a plug, we're one of 3 partnerships up for the October 24 Partnership Award tonight.
Yep.
And hopefully Tom can get up there and bring home the trophy.
Yeah, I would love nothing more than to get up there and make that speech tonight, because this is the genesis of it all. This is what we started thinking about 7 years ago, bringing together these groups of friends and investors. And if we can break through and win that award tonight, it's going to be a great tip of the hat to our efforts. Like we in that calendar year, I think we had National Treasure, who won a Pegasus and a Met Mile. We had Newgate, and we had Citizen Bull, who won a Champion 2-year-old. So it really is. It was an amazing, fun crop and year, and it continues to flow. So we love it. It's I enjoy basically nothing more than managing this partnership and working through it with Jack and our other partners, and long may it last.
Jack, regardless of what happens at the Toba Awards, this is going to be a very special weekend for you for another reason outside of horse racing. Your football number with Murray State officially retired, the number 81. And the Murray State Racers, when they take the field against the Southeastern Louisiana Lions at 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern tonight, they will be wearing your Starlight Racing silks on their helmets. That is so cool.
Well, thanks for bringing it up, Mike. I'm humbled by the whole thing, and we're down here now and we did a little partying, I guess, last night, and and really looking forward to it. And the athletic director down here, Nico, has done a very good job, and you saw that the baseball team really showed up in the World Series this year, and the basketball team looks like they're good. And the football team, it's going to take a little bit longer, but he's really put together a good athletic department. And I'm just like I said, I'm humbled and proud that they're retiring number. However, there's a guy wearing an 81 right now, so I don't know what they're going to do with his number.
he better go out and have a big game if he's going to wear that number.
He's going to scratch.
Yeah, he's going to scratch. Yeah, I love it, Jack. That is a tremendous honor. What position did you play at Murray State?
I played tight end. I told somebody the other night that I was probably the slowest tight end that's ever had his number retired. So we actually had a couple of good years, good teams, and played in the Ohio Valley Conference and almost won it one year, but had a great time. Good people, a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'll be great to see your Starlight silks on those helmets. What a wonderful tribute.
Well, it's actually they did a great job too with matching the colors, and there was, I don't know, some function, or we saw somebody in the restaurant. They didn't know we were Starlight, and they said, "Did you see they're having jockey silks on football helmets tomorrow?" So I'm not sure they know who Starlight is, but they know they're jockey silks anyway. And
good.
And it's that's they're the Murray State Racers, so go Racers.
Go Racers. And by the way, folks who follow us on social media, they can go to our page on X at HRRN. We have retweeted the Murray State post with the helmets on there. It's fantastic. You want to go check that out. Jack, congratulations on that tremendous honor. Congratulations on all the success with Starlight and with the partnerships. Tom, it's a great relationship. Keep it rolling, my friend, and really appreciate the visit as always.
Anytime.
All right, Mike. Thanks
for calling.
Guys, enjoy. Tom Tom Ryan, SF Bloodstock, Jack Wolf, Starlight Racing. Again, Balboa, Litmus Test. They're 2 horses in the Grade 1 Del Mar Futurity this weekend. Both trained by Bob Baffert. You heard him talk about that relationship and how they committed to supporting Bob Baffert and said, this is what we're going to do. We're sticking with you. They're being rewarded with those 2 horses and with so many others, and all the best to them. And, yeah, congrats to Jack. That is so cool to have his number retired with Murray State, and we'll see how they fare coming up later tonight. I like that. Another guy wearing number 81. What are they going to do with him? They'll figure that one out, I'm sure. All right, coming up next, I go down the road to the Breeders' Cup. I will welcome trainer Ignacio Correas to talk about the Kentucky Turf Cup Invitational. Stay tuned. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Will you accept the Breeders' Cup Challenge? The chance to compete against the best in the world? The chance to race for a piece of over $34 million in purses and awards? The chance to be a champion. Winning a Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race gives you the chance to do just that, with an invitation to horse racing's biggest event of the year, the Breeders' Cup World Championships in Del Mar, where finish lines become the start of a legacy and starting gates shine on the world stage. Win a Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race and earn an automatic starting position in a Breeders' Cup race. Entry fees paid by the Breeders' Cup, a Nominator Award of $10,000, travel awards, and so much more. Here, winning a Challenge Series race is just the beginning. View the schedule of Challenge Series races happening around the world and learn more at breederscup.com/challenge.
Tenda Equine and Pet Care products have been keeping world-class equine athletes happy and healthy for generations. Keep your equine athlete looking and performing well with Tenda Next Generation Wound and Skin Care Treatment, along with nutritional supplements, leg and muscle care products, salves, hoof care, poultice, topical aids, and grooming products. Visit tendahorse.com today.
In the heat of competition, every breath matters. Flair Equine nasal strips are clinically proven to reduce airway resistance. By protecting their lungs, you can reduce the risk of VIPH, quicken recovery, and optimize performance. Make a difference in every race and every stride with a product backed by science and trusted by top trainers. Trust Flair for every horse, every breath. Learn the science at flairstrips.com. That's flairstrips.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Serengeti Empress the leader. Ollie's Candy a length and a half behind. Blue Prize is coming 3 wide. Mosi Cal cuts the corner. Midnight Bizu, 5th at the top of the stretch. And here she comes on the far outside. Serengeti Empress to the 8th pole. Blue Prize, here's Midnight Bizu. Blue Prize strikes the front. Midnight Bizu is closing on the outside. Blue Prize has it though close to home. And it's going to be Blue Prize and Joe Bravo to win the Breeders' Cup Distaff, upsetting Midnight Bizu today. Serengeti Empress was 3rd, Ollie's Candy 4th.
One of several career highlights for trainer Ignacio Correas. That came courtesy of Blue Prize in the 2019 Breeders' Cup Distaff. Larry Colmus had the call. Nacho going to be winding down his training career, heading back to his native Argentina at the end of 2025. But he's not done yet. He's hoping to punch his ticket back to the Breeders' Cup later this afternoon in the Kentucky Turf Cup Invitational at Kentucky Downs. He sends out Utah Beach in that spot. So who better to go down the road to the Breeders' Cup with than my friend Ignacio Correas. Nacho, appreciate the visit.
How you doing, Mike? Thanks for welcoming me with that praise. That was a nice welcome.
Yeah, what was going through your mind as you're listening to Larry's call?
Well, a lot of memories, how we planned to get there all year, and we did it, and it he ended up being good. I mean, not always he's like that, but in that time it was what we planned. Go back to the Breeders' Cup with a shot, and we won it. So it was good.
Yeah, she was so special. And Nacho, what I remember when I think of Blue Prize was her toughness and tenaciousness. If you hooked her in the stretch, you were going to know it.
Oh yeah. I mean, she was a tough mare, and she was a grinder. And if she have you, close when she was coming home, she's gonna grind you down. She was a very brave mare.
Easy horse to train or a little challenging?
At the end, it got easy. In the beginning, it was complicated. I mean, she was kind of mean, if you want, and but then Frank, the guy that now have worked almost all his life with John Sheriff. The first day we tried to give her, a GastroGuard, she almost killed us. So we put her on a diet of candy until she will do whatever you wanted for candy. I mean, for a peanut. And that was, Frank Leal was part of the success of that. I mean, he worked very hard with her.
Is that unique? Have you had to do that with many other horses?
No, but I mean, it's like, I guess that when you have a difficult horse, and I think that is a good tool. I don't say that always work, but sometimes, horses, when they get used to eat candy, I mean, as soon as they hear the noise of the paper, they go to you and they want it. And she was a difficult mare to catch. I mean, she sent Frank to ICU in Saratoga, so I mean, she wasn't easy. And but at the end, being treated the right way and spoiled, and as I said, a big part of that is Frank, that and the two grooms that she had, that they were very good and very patient with her.
How about the veteran Utah Beach, who goes today in the Kentucky Turf Cup Invitational? 5-year-old gelding, easy to get along with?
Well, he is like his brother, real story. They're complicated, but they're not as complicated as, I mean, they're very nice to be around and very tough to gallop, put it that way. But he's very nice to be around and very gentle and very kind. But to gallop, I mean, he is a tough son of a gun.
Yeah. Well, he seems to show up quite often in the afternoons. Winner of the Grade 2 Elkhorn last year, or earlier this year, wins the Grade 3 Louisville on May 17th. And then last time out, fourth in the Grade 1 Sword Dancer at Saratoga. So talk to me about what you're seeing from Utah Beach, Nacho.
Well, I think that first of all, he likes the course. He have a good second as a 3-year-old there. And the second thing is, I don't think he was 100% when he ran the Sword Dancer. He was having, like a couple of weeks before, for a couple of weeks he have some rush, in the shoulder and in the girth. So there were a couple of weeks that we could only train him 4 days that week to give him and jog him a couple of days so we could give him time to heal that. So I think that he is in a much better shape today. So we'll see if I'm wrong or right. But the good thing about him is he's very difficult in the morning, but he's very easy in the afternoon. In the afternoon, you can put him wherever he wants. He relax. I mean, and he have learned to do it. And he's a very, I will say, an easy horse to ride.
Why do you think that is, Nacho? Why is he so much better behaved in his races?
You know what? I don't know. His brother, I think that, when you know the family, it makes it a little bit easier. I mean, his brother could never relax. I mean, if he saw a horse in front of him, he will go full speed until he passes him, and then he will relax. So when I got him, knowing the family, we just put him always behind horses, like from the first day that he came to the barn. So he never have that anxiety to pass them, He only do it when he's asked. I think that the big advantage was to have trained his brother. And I trained a couple of brothers of him, and they were both the same. So I'm guessing that was the advantage, knowing what to do and say, you're not going to fool me. You have two brothers. They fool me. It's not going to be a third one.
Fool me once, fool me twice. You're not fooling me a third time.
Yeah, but and the other thing is he's by English Channel. That is a great stallion, and the older they get, the more they run. So for a horse like him, ownership is very important, because it's hard to send a horse at late 2-year-old to a barn, knowing that he's gonna start thriving when he's 4 or 5. It's a long road, and you have to have the right owners. So a lot of merit goes to them too.
Well, Utah Beach, 6-1 on the morning line. That's race 11, the Kentucky Turf Cup Invitational. Post time, 6:21 Eastern, so 5:21 local time at Kentucky Downs. You also have Ira Stark going in the Ladies Marathon Invitational earlier in the day. That's race 6, a mile and 5/16. Tell me a little bit more about Ira Stark. She has her work cut out for her.
Ira Stark is a grade 2 winner over a mile and 3/8 in Argentina on the dirt. But I don't know. I ran her on the dirt here, and she ran terrible. I couldn't believe it, because I had her, very high. I was always thinking very high about her. Then we put her. It was so bad, that race, that I decided to go on the turf, and she ran a very good race first time on the turf, and then she won an easy race, but she went in great form. She won by 3.5, but never got hit. It was like a gallop. It was what I was expecting her to do the first time I ran her. So, and now I guess that this kind of races, the distance is good for her. I don't know about the track. It's like we don't have those kinds of tracks in Argentina, so and there's only one here. So we'll see what happens. I hope she liked the track, and she should run a very good race.
Ignacio Correas joining me here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Nacho, this is your final season of training. At the end of 2025, you will return to your native Argentina. I'm sure that every time you lead a horse over now, it's got to be a little bit emotional, I would think, for you, considering how much success you've had throughout your career and how much you love this game.
Yeah, it's special, It's like, I know that I'm not going to do it for much longer, so probably will leave at mid-November. So I'm trying to do and enjoy every horse that I run, and enjoy the people and the friends I have made during 24 years. And it's, as you said, it's emotional, but it's also good, because I think that I'm retiring from training, not from horse racing, but I think that I'm retiring in my own terms, and I'm very happy with that. I don't want to be retired. I prefer to do it in my terms.
Why was this the right time, Nacho, to say, okay, enough?
they say that you have to leave when it's painful. And I have a lot of good horses, so probably it can't be more painful. I mean, I don't want to leave the game when I have, 5 claiming 5, So hopefully the horse I have, they keep doing good for some other trainer and for me, for my owners, that they have all been great to me. Very grateful for the owners, that have helped me, in all my career in America. And I think it's time to do something else and to have a little more time for me and my family, if you want. That if you want to compete at a certain level here, you only have time for your job, mostly. So I want, enjoy my granddaughter, my sons, my family, and but we do have a farm in Argentina. We breed horses in Argentina. So I took a few brood mares, and we're going to be in the game anyways.
When your retirement was announced, Nacho, and you told everybody at the end of this season, I'm going to move back to Argentina, I'm going to take time for me and for my family, you had a quote in the Daily Racing Forum, which I thought was great. You said, I never dreamed to have the career I have. When I came to America, if you told me you're going to work your ass off and end up with 20 horses and live off what you do, I'd be happy with that. And that's exactly what you've done. You've worked so hard to accomplish the things that you have accomplished outside of Blue Prize and that moment in the 2019 Breeders' Cup Distaff. What are a couple other moments, Nacho, that you're always going to hold dear to your heart?
Well, there is, if I have to, the people that I have to thank for everything I learned and I have done. I started with Billy Badgett in New York. I learned a lot of how you work in America. Then Bill Curran in California, he was great to me. And when I started on my own Sagamore, I had Monzon, which I won my first stake in America. I had Million Reasons Why, that she was a great, great filly. And then on my own, Kazaki start all these for Mrs. Perkins. And then, well, you can't forget, Real Story, Didia. I have been, it's incredible for a barn of about 30 to 40 horses to have had that many good horses over this short period of time. I went on my own on 2015, and I think I won in those 10 years, I won 21, 22 graded stakes, or a little bit more maybe. So I own everything to the horses. I don't think that you can have the career I have if I didn't have the guys that, will trust me and put those horses in my barn.
Yep.
They give me my name and everything.
Well, Nacho, it's been a remarkable career. I know I speak for a lot of people that I'm sad to see it come to an end, but, man, I wish you all the best going forward with the new chapter. But you're not done yet. Utah Beach, as I mentioned, getting ready to attempt to punch his ticket to the Breeders' Cup turf. That would be – what a way to go out. Imagine if you could win a Breeders' Cup race to wrap things up.
Yeah, it's like Breeders' Cup is, it's already a miracle that we won one. So – to be able to take a horse there and to make the walk and to saddle a horse on that paddock, it will be. That I will do, because I have a filly by the name of Sarawak Rim that won the You Win, You're in Argentina, and she have been with us for 3-4 months already. So I'm going to have the honor of saddling another horse in the Breeders' Cup. So that's I think a very good way to go. I mean, that will be probably the last horse I will saddle. So it will be an honor to do it in such a great day, and I don't think that you can ask for much more,
No, Nacho, you're all class, my friend. All the best with all of the horses that you have in training over the next few months. Enjoy every second of it, and I will look forward to catching up with you again soon, my friend.
Okay, Mike, thank you very much. To you guys, as usual, you have only been nice to me, and thank you very much for all these years of friendship.
You got it. We will talk again soon. That is Ignacio Correas going down the road to the Breeders' Cup, one of racing's real good guys, and he will certainly be missed. But as you heard him say, looking to spend more time with his family and his granddaughter, and hey, that's what life's all about. Good for Nacho. Good luck to him moving forward onto the Breeders' Cup. When I come back, we'll turn our attention to Colonial Downs. 6 stakes races part of that Saturday program. Announcer Jason Beem joins me to talk about those. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Millridge is recognized with raising and selling exceptional athletes.
Test Score, a convincing winner of the Belmont Derby Invitational. World Beater and Junior Alvarado have won the Saratoga Derby Invitational.
Test Score and World Beater became the 40th and 41st Grade 1 winners raised or sold by Millridge since 2000, and they continue to exceed the odds of only 0.18% of all thoroughbreds winning a Grade 1, with Millridge and their clients experiencing closer to a 3% strike rate. Consider your next Grade 1 winner this September with the Millridge consignment.
His sire is one of the most exciting young stallions in the world. His dam has become one of the most important brood mares in the industry. And on the first Saturday in May, his genetic brilliance shined brightest on racing's biggest stage.
They come into the final 16th, and it is going to be Mage to win the Kentucky Derby.
Mage, standing at Airdrie Stud. Think about it.
Top consignor Scott Mallory has an exciting group of horses on offer at the Keeneland September Yearling Sale. From solid Book 1 horses by sires like Uncle Mo and Curlin, as well as exciting freshman sire Charlatan. Offerings in Books 2 through 5 include horses by proven sires like Liam's Map, Omaha Beach, Violence, and newcomers such as Drain the Clock, Olympiad, and Jack Christopher.
Don't miss the Scott Mallory consignment starting in Barn 15 at Keeneland September.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
New Century is starting to kick in. Final Gambit, pink cap on the far outside. Hot as hell, still well behind at the top of the stretch. Looking for room now. In some traffic trouble is Hot as Hell. Finding a seam now as they reach the 8th pole. Joella still there. Too Late Lead. Tiberius Thunder. World Beater on the inside. Capitol Hill. Joella. Here's World Beater coming fast, and Test Score on the outside. These two will decide it. World Beater and Junior Alvarado have won the Saratoga Derby Invitational. Joella Ultra Game ends up second. Test Score was third.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Getting ready to wind down Hour 2. Hour 3 loaded with more racing talk, including the TwinSpires Triple Play. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History. Dale Roman's Tim Wilkin joining me for I Ask, They Answer at 10:30 Eastern. All of that still ahead, including my conversation with Colonial Downs announcer Jason Beem, who will have his eyes, no doubt, on number 6 World Beater in today's Old Dominion, the Grade 3 race, featuring World Beater, who won the Grade 1 Saratoga Derby Invitational last time out for trainer Riley Mott. You just heard Frank Miramatti's call of that race on August 2nd. Jason is indeed with me now. Jason, happy to have you aboard, my friend.
Hey, Mike. It's good to be with you.
Yeah, the Old Dominion Derby. Grade 3, post time 4:55 Eastern, mile and an eighth on the outer turf course at Colonial. What a fun race, huh?
Yeah, the artist formerly known as the Virginia Derby, as I've been calling it. I keep reminding myself not to call it the Virginia Derby today. I'm gently worried about that. But, I obviously it's big to get a Grade 1 winner to show up for this race. I think he's going to be shorter than 9 to 5. I believe Kenny's horse is scratching. I thought I saw that on Twitter last night. I'm in the parking lot, so I haven't gone up to get all the scratches and changes yet. But I think World Beater's going to take a lot of beat. I mean, he's just been very, very good since they moved to turf.
He is a son of Millridge stallion Oscar Performance. We know what Oscar Performance has done at Stud. He's been remarkable. And here's just the latest addition. When you have a horse that's going to be a prohibitive favorite, such as World Beater, as the announcer, is your focus solely on him? How do you make sure that you're not neglecting the other horses, Jason?
Well, I mean, I try to call the race like I would any other, and obviously the favorite is usually the story, not always, but most often, because that's where most of the people's money is. So I think you keep just kind of an extra little bit of attention on where they are and how they're traveling. But I learned a really good lesson earlier in my career when I called Maximum Security when he got beat by King for a Day at Monmouth. And, I had like 3 different lines ready. He was 1 to 5. He was the Derby winner. Of course, he was going to win. And then about the quarter pole, I said, I got to throw all this out and just call the race. And so, there is – I think you can't get too tied up in one horse. It's just – it's a horse race. And that's what, just as a gambler, I think it's easy to think like, okay, this horse is going to win. Let's move on. But there are some talented runners in here and certainly horses to give that horse a run. He does look very tough on paper, that being said.
If World Beater is not the one standing in the winner's circle, which other contenders in that Old Dominion Derby are you going to have your eye on as potential upsetters?
My sneaky one is Misero, who I talked to C.J. Johnson last night. He was telling me how to pronounce it. It's named after an Italian type of lemon, and if you notice, the mare is lemon liqueur. But anyways, but the horse obviously threw a couple of clunkers in the last couple, but I keep going back to that Keeneland win, which was so visually impressive, and thinking that if this one can kind of get that trip and put in that kick, that maybe that horse is a little bit live. Outrunner toward the outside is a little bit sneaky just because very lightly raced and came down here and got beat last time out, but, the Colts Neck horses have been doing pretty good down here, and obviously gets our leading rider, Paco Lopez.
Are you the type of announcer, Jason, that comes from the Luke Kreitbosch school of breaking out the crayons and the markers and coloring the silks next to each horse? Or you do it that way?
Yeah, I do colored pencils, always.
Okay.
Have.
Really? For every single horse? You
know what? I tried it one day for one race without it, and I did the race fine, but I felt like I didn't have my security blanket with me, and so it's one of those things where I think it's a kind of a relaxing ritual, honestly. Coloring for 35 or 40 minutes is very kind of relaxing, and also it just gives me an early chance to look at the runners, because usually I color a couple days out, and then during the race, just every once in a while, you'll see, Tampa, I have the luxury of the color-coded caps, and that saves my bacon 5 times a week, because it's like Tampa's a very low booth, and so you can't see, because the silks are obviously the primary indicator for us, but the saddle towel is a very close second. And at Tampa, you can't really see them when they're on the turn because you're low and they often stack up. So those color-coded caps, a horse moving down on the rail where it's tough to see the silks and the saddle towel, those things save my life. But here, I don't have that luxury, but I am a lot higher, so that certainly helps. But every once in a while, you'll see a flash of blue on the outside, and a quick glance at my program, where am I seeing blue, 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 blue? Oh, it's Native Runner or whoever it is.
See, that amazes me. My dream job, before I got into the whole radio gig, I really wanted to be a track announcer. I practiced, I tried, and for me, the minute I took my eyes off the horses and looked down at the program for any reason, I was lost, trying to pick them back up again. That is such an art form and such a skill.
You mentioned the great Luke Kreitbosch earlier. When I was first driving to River Downs for my first announcing job, I stopped at Turf Paradise and met him for the first time, and he couldn't have been nicer. He invited me up for the whole day, and I was watching during one of the races, and I could see his eyes looking down his program as they were on the turn, and he just went winding around the fire turn, really drew it out, slowed it down, and I realized, he's cheating. He's looking at his program and looking for who's who. And you kind of learn those. We had one here at Colonial last night. I want to say it was the 6th or 7th race. It was later in the card. A field of 8, and they were all a length apart at the 8th pole. I mean, it was literally 6 of them across and 2 right behind, and the leaders were going back. And I mean, it was a fall-apart race is what I call it. And I've learned that that's the best time to say, there's 6 across the track, or wild finish coming up, or some kind of little stall technique, so you can assess, okay, who's moving best, who's going to be, one of the leaders, because those are the hardest races, in my opinion, to call, or turf races that fall apart. Or really any race that falls apart, but turf races, they're usually more clustered. And so you really have to kind of give yourself a second or two to, and God forbid you forget a name in those kind of races, because looking down at the program in a turf race that's falling apart in the last 16th, that is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, well, it's such a unique skill set. Jason Beem with me here on the Horse Racing Radio Network, preparing to call 6 stakes races at Colonial Downs this afternoon, highlighted by the Grade 3 Old Dominion Derby, which is race number 10, the final race on the program. You mentioned Misero, and trainer Dale Romans will saddle Misero later today. Race number 5 begins the 6 consecutive stakes races. That's the Kitten's Joy, another horse that has an awful lot of meaning to Dale Romans in his career. And here's a race named in Kitten's Joy's honor.
Awful lot of meeting to Colonial Downs, too. Was a impressive winner here back in the Virginia Derby back in the day. It was like English Channel, Kitten's Joy, and there's one other. Gio Ponte, I think, won this race 3 out of 4 years, which was crazy to think about. But Kenny McPeak's got one in here, the J.J. Gray that we saw debut. I think it was the week before Arlington Million. And I remember Caitlin telling me, like, oh, Kenny's been talking about that. I go, Kenny talks about every horse. Like, it's the next second coming. And she says, no. She goes, I think this one's really, really good. And was bet down to 4-5 and was kind of in a weird spot. Like, if you look at the past performance line, it doesn't look all that, it's just kind of sitting just off the pace in a 12-horse field and then wins, but was kind of in between runners in a few spots. It was not in what I think was a great spot and still found a way to win and win convincingly. So I'm really excited to see this one. Obviously, Jutland on the outside. Went up to Woodbine to try Stakes Company and was a nice maiden winner at Indiana. Figures to get a chance. I thought that was a good name, too. I had to look up how to say it, and it was like the biggest naval battle in World War I, and the mare is Naval Battle.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I love those kind of angles, especially when you start getting into those historic types of names like that. They're really cool. Jason, how about race number 6, the Colonial Cup Stakes? That's 1.5 miles on the turf. Always a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think for this one, the question is going to be, is truly quality running. This one just ran last week at Del Mar, and so obviously it's a big trip. But all throughout the week, we had heard Jonathan saying that he was certainly entertaining it. So, as I said, I'm heading upstairs to get scratches after I talk with you. So that'll, I think, be a big question, because I think they kind of lined this horse not as low as it would have, just because of the uncertainty of whether or not the horse was going to run. So I think that's a big question mark. He also has Twirling Point in this race, who figures to be a contender as well. I've been competing against graded stakes type company and has a stakes win up at Monmouth Park on the turf. There's a fair number of Augustin Stable runners today between the Colonial Cup and especially the Oaks.
I'll throw it to you this way for this question, Jason. We've got about 2 minutes left before I have to get to the commercial break. So what other storylines that we haven't talked about yet on this Saturday program at Colonial Downs will you have your eye on?
I think Wesley Ward in the Rosie Stakes, he's had success in that race before with four-wheel drive. And he's got a first-time starter, Gypsy Arts, and he's also got one coming over for Resolute Racing, Rogue Legend, who's been running overseas. He had one the other night that came over from overseas and didn't really fire. So, and Caitlin was kind of against that horse, thinking, why is this horse here and not Kentucky Downs? So I think that's a little bit of a question mark for the Wesley horses. And then I think the DeHaas is maybe the most fun race of the afternoon. You have Doncho, who just set that world record at Ellis Park. Whitty, who was really impressive, coming from last to win the Van Cleef Stakes here on Million Day. And then Allegon, who's just as steady as they come, just super, super classy turf sprinter. So that's the race I'm probably the most excited for. I know I'm not supposed to say that. I'm supposed to be the Derby, but I think the DeHaas is the one I'm most looking forward to.
DeHaas, what a cool horse he was, huh?
Yeah.
Yep, fantastic stuff. Jason, appreciate the visit as always. I want to give you an opportunity, though, before I let you go. This show, of course, presented by our friends at TwinSpires, and listeners can catch your podcast on TwinSpires as well. Tell me more about that.
I, too, am presented by TwinSpires. Yeah, I know. We've been doing the show coming up on 10 years now. I think in January it'll be 10 years we've been doing the podcast. started out as a 5-day a week. Now it's 4 days a week. I needed a day off at some point, Mike. And with doing Tampa and Colonial, I wasn't getting it. So we do Monday through Thursdays. I usually release them the night before, so a lot of people like to listen at night. But yeah, it's the Jason Beem Horse Racing Podcast. We do interviews. You've been on the show before.
Yep.
And at this point, I feel like probably like you, we've pretty much had everybody at this point.
Yeah, it's amazing how that works. You always come up with new people, though, right? There's always somebody else bursting onto the scene, somebody doing something special. That's really what makes this game so much fun. And Jason, I really appreciate the visit. Keep it rolling, and good luck with those races this afternoon. We'll be listening.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Jason Beem here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. When I come back, I'll take a look at a historical date in racing history or two and update you on the poll question before telling you what's ahead in hour number 3. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
The National HBPA is continuously working to protect the health and welfare of horses by advocating and funding research to help reduce equine injuries, lobbying for a national testing lab to oversee and establish absolute uniform laboratory protocols, advocating for every track to undergo an annual independent surface assessment, passionately supporting off-the-track thoroughbred retirement facilities and adoption groups, and so much more. See additional HBPA initiatives at nationalhbpa.com.
James Brown and Bill Cowher welcoming you back to Dennis Melvin's house. It's time for the Midnight Snack Run.
This is one tricky obstacle course. Sticking to healthy habits in this kitchen is going to take focus and determination, but it can be done, JB.
He's already entered the snack part of the course, and he's eyeballing a jar of chocolatey candy.
That is tempting right off the start.
Uh-oh, he's reaching, Bill, but he pushes it away.
Great stiff arm.
He's approaching a plate of delicious-looking iced cookies.
Oh, Dennis, you only want one of those.
He blows right by him for the apple.
Oh, the fridge. It's make or break time, JB.
He stares down some rich-looking treats. Uh-oh, looks like he's headed for the soda. Wait, he jukes left, grabs the water bottle, and shuts the door with his elbow in record time.
Unbelievable move. I gotta see that again.
And he's out. He even turned off the light.
That's the way you execute a midnight snack run.
Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer.
Go to takeahealthystand.org.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woo-hoo. Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Want to get the latest HRRN content directly on your computer or mobile device? Then subscribe to our podcasts using the Podbean app or Apple Podcasts. Just go to hrrn.podbean.com on your computer and click follow. Or download the Podbean app and search HRRN. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts and listen to our latest episodes anytime. Don't miss a thing. Subscribe to our podcasts today. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
I got to tell you, I'm a little surprised by the results of the poll question here. Which horse not named Sovereignty should be considered the top contender for the Breeders' Cup Classic? Fierceness, Sierra Leone, Mindframe, or Journalism? And what surprises me, not the fact that Sierra Leone is narrowly in front of Fierceness. 38% of you saying it's Sierra Leone, 36% saying Fierceness, but the fact that Mindframe is dead last in the voting. Dead last with 11% of the vote. Journalism has 15. Mindframe going into the Jockey Club Gold Cup before losing his jockey was the horse that so many pundits were thinking was the horse to beat. And they expected him to prove that in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Yeah, it was a tough test. Yeah, it was a deep race. But you expected Mindframe to be right there at the finish, like he's done for his entire career. I'm shocked that he's dead last in the voting here. But you can keep those votes coming. At HRRN on X, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook, or email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net. Quick look at a date or two in racing history. September 7th, 1970. Today, the anniversary of Bill Shoemaker surpassing Johnny Longden. His then record, 6,032 wins. Shoemaker passed him when he piloted Dares J to victory at Del Mar and became the world's winningest jockey. The next year, well, not the next year, but the next day, tomorrow, the anniversary of Bill Shoemaker on September 8th, 1990, scoring his first stakes victory as a trainer. How about that? Big weekend for the Shoe, when he sent a 5-year-old mare, Baldomero, to victory in the Osanitas handicap at Del Mar. Cool stuff. All right, 2 hours down, 1 to go. Don't forget, if you miss any portion of the Equine Forum, you can always check out the podcast on our website and on your favorite podcast platform. If your local station is leaving us at this time, continue listening to the third hour of the show nationwide on Sirius XM satellite radio, on ESPN 680 in Louisville, Kentucky, or streaming at horseracingradio.net. Hour 3 of the Equine Forum is straight ahead right after this 10-second pause for station identification. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
They're inside the final furlong, and it's Zulu Alpha who shows the way a couple of lengths clear of Arklow, and back to this is boxing on. Zulu Alpha is the leader, well in control of the $1 million Calumet Farm Kentucky Turf Cup. Zulu Alpha wins by 4 lengths.
One-timer, the leader by 2. Run Curtis, run second. Nothing yet from Big Invasion. Stitched is next to the outside. One-timer's run away. One-timer has run away to win the Franklin Simpson by 4 lengths.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
They are homeward bound now, and Mike Smith asks Songbird to respond. She does so willingly. Pretty and Cool's running a huge one on the inside, but Songbird's class is sticking out a mile. She's just exuding class. Songbird and Mike Smith could not have been more impressive in the Del Mar debut. They finished up romping in.
Kitten's Joy set down for the drive, and here he comes now. Oh, and he's got plenty of run. Kitten's Joy taking the lead with an impressive turn of foot. Oh, my. Kitten's Joy just blowing Magistrati away in Tycoon. Oh, this is a very good 3-year-old. Kitten's Joy wins by 3 emphatic lengths.
Now, here's Mike Penna.
Welcome back. Hour 3 of the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires, right here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Mike Penna with you for one more hour, and it's been a fun first couple of hours of the program, talking about racing at Kentucky Downs, and the spotlight, of course, on racing over at Del Mar on the West Coast, and then Colonial Downs here in the East. So looking forward to what's going to happen at Churchill Downs, that fall meet kicking off later this week. We've talked about that too. All kinds of things to discuss on this Saturday morning, including the TwinSpires Triple Play. Joe Kristufek will have 3 races for you to watch this afternoon in this week's edition of the Triple Play. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History, coming your way at 10:20. And at 10:30, I Ask, They Answer with Dale and Tim. They will be with me to tackle some of the hottest topics in the sport today. But we begin Hour 3, as we do every week, with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Hello, Joe Kristufek.
Hey, what's up, Mike? My favorite time of the year.
Yeah, it's a great time of the year. You got the college football kicking off. The NFL is in full swing now. Horse racing leading up to the Breeders' Cup. A lot of things to look forward to. And then how about the Major League Baseball playoffs coming up shortly?
Yeah, no, you checked all the boxes I was thinking of. And, the weather this time of year is great as well. sporadically it could
maybe
it could not be so great, but it should be better. And all the things you mentioned, I mean, looking forward to the opening of Churchill Downs this coming Thursday. You've got the road to the Kentucky Derby in Oaks already starting with the Pocahontas and the Iroquois. And, we do it all over again.
We want to mention that, Joe, we are recording this segment on Friday morning, shortly after Kentucky Downs sent out a message on social media saying that with the inclement weather expected in Franklin, Kentucky over the course of the next 36 hours or so leading into Saturday, Kentucky Downs management is monitoring the conditions, and any updates regarding racing on Saturday and Sunday will be posted on Kentucky Downs Racing on their X page as soon as those decisions are made and everything is available. With that said, Joe, there's a good chance that if indeed, as we're recording this on Friday, if people are listening Saturday morning here on the Equine Forum, if everything would shift, the full card for Saturday could shift potentially to another day, correct?
Yeah, that's what I would think, because it just makes sense with Churchill opening Thursday. They have an opening Monday and Tuesday. They do race Wednesday. So I would think in a perfect world, if they did have to move a card, maybe they would move Saturday to Monday, hopefully Sunday. Sunday's forecast looks good. Hopefully they could run on Sunday. I don't know exactly what they're thinking. That's what I'm thinking. And these selections that I'm going to give today, no matter what, would still apply, because no matter what happens, Mike, they take the rails down. The rails were 25 feet out when last they raced on Thursday. Those rails come down. So you've got, brand new. If you look at the drone shot, it's a great shot to see how much wear and tear the outside part of the turf course has versus the two fresh lanes down inside. And historically, and I've been covering Kentucky Downs a long time, historically, when they take the rails down, inside and speed, anytime the inside is good, speed is good, because speed normally gets to the inside. That's what you're looking for when you're handicapping. So that's what I'm looking for going into the Saturday card, and we'll see how it plays out, but pretty confident that's the way it's going to roll.
Okay, and let's hope the Saturday card later today does go off without a hitch. But let's talk about these races now. You focused on 3 races, race number 2, race number 7, and race number 10. So we'll kick it off with that second race, post time 1:04 Eastern. That's 12:04 Central Time, locally at Kentucky Downs. 1 5/16 miles on the turf. It's an optional claiming allowance race, non-winners of 2 other than. How'd you see that one, my friend?
Yeah, it's interesting. Segoy's in for $80,000. He was claimed for $50,000 back in April of 2024. Went on a nice little run. He's got some stakes victories. He's more than proven in 1.5 miles. And now Mike Maker, at the age of 8, is dropping Segoy in for $80,000. He's been competitive in some of these graded stakes and listed stakes races of late, but hasn't been able to get the job done. He's in a perfect spot here. He's got the inside draw. He's got natural speed from the gate. He's in easier than he's been in a long time. The 1 5/16 miles should be no issue for Segoy, who surprisingly in the 36-race career has never run at Kentucky Downs. So coming off a recent 4th last out in the Kentucky Downs Preview Turf Cup, lost to a really good odds-on favorite that particular day, and Highway Robber going 1.25 miles at Ellis. Rails are down. Segoy's got speed. He's dropping in class. He's 3-1, but we got a bigger price for you a little bit later on in the segment.
Joe, how cool are these veteran horses? Here's an 8-year-old gelding. He was purchased in 2018 at the Fasig-Tipton, Kentucky October sale for $6,000. You mentioned he's making his 37th start this afternoon. He has earned over $824,000. How cool is that?
Well, I can speak from experience, Mike, because we have a horse by the name of Johnny's Fireball. We claimed for $50,000 2.5 years ago. He's 7 years old now, and he's won 4 times for us, and you can just see the difference in these horses as they get older. When he's in contention in a race, he absolutely throws it down. When he's in a little bit too tough or things don't go his way, he'll call it a day. These horses get smarter as they get older, and I can speak for Johnny's Fireball. He's still extremely competitive at the age of 7. He loves his job, and I think Segoy fits in that category. But, yeah, you love to see these veterans who are still competing at a very high level, and this horse certainly fits that category.
That's a great point. So often when racing has people from the outside coming after it, right, and making bad accusations about things that take place in our sport, they don't realize that horses, they're born to run. And as you just said, he loves his job, right? They love what they're doing. And sometimes I think if you take them away from that, they tend to go the other way on you.
Yeah, I think it's an individual horse-by-horse, case-by-case basis. As far as the level of competitiveness goes, I think they all love to run, but when they're in a fight, that's when you really find out about a horse's heart and their competitiveness and whether or not, some horses, they're fast and they can win races, and they can win races by open lengths when they're the best horse. It's those ones that really throw it down when the money's on the line that you love even that much more. But, yeah, they're born to run, and, I always tell people, you want to see how these horses are treated, let me take you back to the backstretch and see how much love these horses get from their grooms and their hot walkers and their trainers and how pampered they are. If you ever got somebody that questions that, just bring them to the backstretch, and chances are they'll change their mind.
Yeah, really well said. Okay, race number 2, Joe Kristufek will take number 3, Segoy, at odds of 3-1 on the morning line. The second leg you've chosen is race number 7. That is the Grade 3 Mint Millions Invitational Stakes. It has a purse of $2.5 million. Who wins this one?
So I almost went back to Goliad, who's on the rail, who won this race last year, to speak of how well Speed does these later days, this final Saturday when the rails come down. Horse won the Mint Millions mile on September 7th last year. Gate to wire from post position number 9 at odds of almost 10-1. That would be a logical place to go back to. He's got speed. He's got the rail. But I went to a long shot here, Mike. I went to the number 11 Epic Ride, who actually ran in the Kentucky Derby last year, trying to find his niche. He's run on dirt. He's run on synthetic. He's sprinted, and he's routed, but his route races haven't been nearly as good as his shorter races. He won a mile at Ellis Park last out, won 45-1, pressing the lead every step of the way. The race fell apart to a large extent as Beach Gold came from the clouds to win it. This horse battled every step of the way. He wound up getting beat by 3 parts of a length in a race where he could have easily faded. John Ennis is having a good meet here at Kentucky Downs. And despite post position number 11, I think a lot of the horses to his inside don't have a lot of natural early speed, which should allow him to cross over, maybe get in the 2-path or right outside of Goliad. I think those two will be the leaders turning for home. Stand some trouble for either one of them. And the Epic Ride is going to be a much bigger price. So I decided to go there. Epic Ride 15-1 in race number 7.
All right, good value there, no doubt about it. We'll move on to race number 10, which is the final leg of this week's TwinSpires Triple Play. Joe, the 10th race, intriguing to say the least. It's the Grade 1 Franklin Simpson Stakes and a purse of $2 million. Which way are you going to go? Because I think you can go a lot of different directions in this race.
You really can, and it's interesting, Mike, because these 6.5 furlong races, this one obviously restricted to the 3-year-olds. You've got horses cutting back. You've got horses stretching out. And one of my favorite aspects of handicapping Kentucky Downs is trying to figure out who's going to be able to get this tweener kind of distance. And I think Troubleshooting, who's already had a very good year, but could really solidify himself as one of the top horses in the division, obviously with a win here, is one of the horses to beat for a few different reasons. Now, I know he's stretching out from 5.5 furlongs to 6.5 furlongs, but he's got some influences in his pedigree that would lead us to believe that this distance of 6.5 furlongs with the elongated stretch run will hit him right between the eyes. He's not this time out of an Into Mischief mare. He's got a sibling in, what is the horse's name? I think it's Big World, who is a really good miler for the Foleys. And the horse is in great form. Won the Dade Park Dash easily. Tough second last out to Litigation. Those two threw it down. But Troubleshooting had the disadvantage of the wide draw. Post 5 of 7, was hung wide every step of the way, ran gamely to the wire, actually stuck his head in front of a very talented rival in Litigation. Now he gets the inside draw. He stretches out a little bit. He's got Tyler Gaffley on a board, and I don't think he'll necessarily make the lead, but he could get that very advantageous pocket trip, which he's used to his advantage in the past. So 6-1 square price, like you said, Mike, in a wide open race, troubleshooting for me.
All right, 6-1, number 2 troubleshooting race number 10. Let's recap the triple play for Joe Kristufek on this Saturday morning. Race 2 at Kentucky Downs this afternoon. He'll take number 3 Segoy at 3-1. Race 7, he'll take number 11 Epic Ride, 15-1 on the morning line. Bombs away if Epic Ride can find a way to win it. And in race 10, number 2, troubleshooting at odds of 6-1. And we'll remind our listeners once again that we are monitoring the weather conditions at Kentucky Downs. You can check their X page for updates as soon as they are available. But hopefully everything goes off without a hitch this afternoon, my friend.
Yeah, I will say this. When that turf course takes a lot of rain, the results get to be pretty random. I will say so far, 4 days throughout the meet, it's been pretty formful. We haven't seen a lot of crazy, I don't understand how that happened result, which is just the way I like it. It's been a profitable meet for me so far, so hopefully Mother Nature is kind to us. And no matter what happens, Mike, those rails come down, and I really do think that inside speed will be good.
What's happening at TwinSpires this weekend?
So the one thing that they've done recently, which I've been kind of campaigning for, is the ability to play the tournaments on the app. Now, you still need to sign up on the website, but they've got an easy-to-use button. If you press it, it'll take you to the website. You can sign up for whatever contest you're looking to sign up for, and you can play the contest from your phone, from your iPad, from the app in general, which to me, if you're mobile, like a lot of people are on a regular basis and not sitting in front of their laptops, is a big advantage. So I think that's very much a positive for TwinSpires in the tournament world, and they do such a great job with the tournaments to begin with. They got a lot of great promotions coming up for Churchill Downs. Once that meet starts, some very creative ones that you need to look out for and you need to opt into. Again, Churchill Downs opens this coming Thursday with a Twilight Thursday card, and we run, we run 14 days in September before the scene shifts over to Keeneland and then back to Churchill in the fall. And, Mike, I'm already looking for places to stay in New Orleans. We announced our stake schedule and our racing schedule just a couple of days ago. So lots to look forward to. You mentioned the Breeders' Cup, et cetera, et cetera. TwinSpires is the place to play.
Man, enjoy every second of this weekend at Kentucky Downs, Joe, and we are going to look forward to Churchill and Fairgrounds on the horizon. As you said, to kick things off for us, it's a great time of year.
It is. So I'm going to go 10-7 for the Bears, Mike. I think they're going to get hot late in the season. We'll see if they can make the playoffs. And the one future wager bet I'm making is Patrick Mahomes over 4,200 yards for the year. I think once Rashee Rice comes back into the fold, I think it's week 6, he's got more weapons than he's ever had, and I think he's got a chip on his shoulder this year. That's the one NFL future wager I'm making. It's tough. All these over and unders for the NFL are like 8.5, which speaks to the parity of the league, which I absolutely love. But that's the one future wager I'm recommending to everybody out there.
Joe, I'm going undefeated for the Steelers. 1972 Dolphins, look out.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, you haven't lost the game yet, so you're on the right track.
Brother, I appreciate it. Enjoy the weekend, and good luck at the windows.
All right, Mike. Always productive. Always a lot of fun being on with you, and, enjoy yourself.
All right, Joe Kristufek with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Don't forget to play those races that we just talked about in every race you're going to bet this weekend and every weekend with TwinSpires. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History is coming up next, but I want to remind you that I'm going to have the answer for this week's impossible trivia question. I'll give that out at the end of the show, right around 10:55 Eastern. And if you missed the question, here it is. What was the name of the thoroughbred who was 2-year-old champion in 1907, 3-year-old champion in 1908, and retired undefeated after winning all 15 of his starts? Think about that one for a minute. Again, the answer comes up in just a little while at 10:55 Eastern. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History, presented by Keeneland, is next. Dale and Tim coming your way, 10:30 Eastern. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The 14-day September meet at Churchill Downs begins Thursday, September 11th with live racing through Sunday, September 28th. A total of 11 stakes will be contested across the September meet, featuring the $500,000 Lucas Classic, the $400,000 Locust Grove, and the kickoff to the Road to the Kentucky Derby and Oaks with the $300,000 Iroquois and $300,000 Pocahontas. The September meet will run Wednesday through Sunday. First post is 12:45 p.m. most days, with a special 5 p.m. first post each Thursday for Twilight Thursday. Horse players will have plenty of opportunities to score at the meet with a new $3 late pick 3 with a low 15% takeout rate. For more information about the September meet, visit churchilldowns.com and follow Churchill Downs on all social media platforms.
Millridge is recognized with raising and selling exceptional athletes.
Test Score, a convincing winner of the Belmont Derby Invitational. World Beater and Junior Alvarado have won the Saratoga Derby Invitational.
Test Score and World Beater became the 40th and 41st Grade 1 winners raised or sold by Millridge since 2000, and they continue to exceed the odds of only 0.18% of all thoroughbreds winning a Grade 1, with Millridge and their clients experiencing closer to a 3% strike rate. Consider your next Grade 1 winner this September with the Millridge Consignment.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Hello, I'm Kurt Becker. Thanks for joining me as I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. She won just 2 stakes races in her lifetime, but both were Grade 1s, and it was enough to propel her to an Eclipse Award as champion 3-year-old filly. She was also a Keeneland September sales graduate. Her name was Farda Amiga. Foaled on February 1st, 1999, Farda Amiga was a bay filly by Broad Brush out of Fly North by Pleasant Colony. Bred and foaled at Payson Stud Incorporated near Lexington, Kentucky, her sire was a Grade 1 winner at 1.25 miles, while her maternal grandsire was a dual classic winner. Offered as a yearling at Keeneland September by TaylorMade Sales Agency agent, Farda Amiga sold for $45,000 to Kentucky Bloodstock agent Jose de Camargo. The average price that day, the opening day of the sale, was $310,000, but Farda Amiga was suffering from OCDs, a joint condition involving cartilage development in young horses. It was resolved, however, with a relatively minor surgical procedure. De Camargo retained an interest in the filly and put together a racing partnership which included Julio Camargo and Marco Simon. The former raced under the name Old Friends Incorporated, while the latter's stable was called Winter Silk Incorporated. The name Farda Amiga came from the Portuguese language, and it translated as Friendly Silks, a blending of the names of the 2 stables. The 3 partners shared Brazilian ancestry, and they chose a native of Brazil as the trainer of their filly. Paulo Lobo had worked as an assistant to his father, a leading Brazilian trainer, for 6 years before opening his own public stable. He had immigrated to the U.S. in January of 2001 and was based at Hollywood Park. Farda Amiga made her career debut as a 2-year-old on September 3, 2001 at Del Mar in a maiden special weight on the turf. She rallied from 7th with a 1/2 mile to run and beat the favorite by 2 lengths, paying $21 at the Mutual windows. Thrown into the Grade 3 Mies Stakes on the turf a few weeks later, Farda Amiga ran 5th. She then ran 7th on the turf in her 3-year-old debut at Santa Anita in the Blue Norther Stakes. With a new jockey in Chris McCarron, Farda Amiga returned to the winner's circle on February 2, 2002, winning at 1 mile on the grass at Santa Anita, an allowance optional claim company. She once again rallied from off the pace, closing from 8th and last in the final 1/2 mile. With a pedigree as strong on dirt as it was on turf, Farda Amiga seemed to Lobo like a candidate for a surface change. That was why he entered her in the Grade 1 Santa Anita Oaks for her next start, with the result being a 4th place finish at odds of 35 to 1. Farda Amiga's pedigree was also long on stamina, so Lobo decided she deserved a chance at the Grade 1 Kentucky Oaks. It was a bold move, especially considering she had never won a stakes race, not to mention the fact Churchill Downs oddsmaker Mike Battaglia called the Oaks field one of the best top to bottom he had ever seen. The date was May 3rd, 2002, and Take Charge Lady was the 8-5 favorite. The race was the 128th running of the Kentucky Oaks, and Farda Amiga was sent to the post at odds of 20-1. Luke Kreitbos with the call.
Farda Amiga's revving up quickly on the far outside, then take the cake in the struck drive. It's Take Charge Lady responding to the challenge of You. She opens it out to 2 again. You can't go with her second. Farda Amiga's a fresh challenger. Habibti on the far outside, switched out for clear sailing down to the final furlong. D'Amico goes to work on Take Charge Lady, and she's collared by Farda Amiga on the outside. Take Charge Lady digs in. Farda Amiga surging. Farda Amiga gets to the front. Farda Amiga and Chris McCarron getting up to win the 128th Kentucky Oaks.
In her second start on dirt and with Chris McCarron aboard, Farda Amiga had pulled a shocker before a crowd of 101,000. She paid $42 at the windows and winning a stakes for the first time, and she was Lobo's first career Grade 1 winner. McCarron said, quote, "She's beautiful. She has a great look in her eyes. Her coat is gorgeous. She is a physical specimen of a good training job," end quote. Following the Kentucky Oaks, Farda Amiga developed a fever and a high white blood cell count. Returned to Hollywood Park, she was put on stall rest for a month, and she did not return to the work tab until July 6th. Lobo decided to target the Grade 1 Alabama Stakes at Saratoga on August 17th for the filly's next start, and it was another bold move on his part. Farda Amiga would head to New York having not raced in nearly 105 days, and with only 5 published works since her win in Kentucky. And the Alabama would be a demanding test in which she would face 3 other Grade 1 winners over a route of ground at 1.25 miles. With Pat Day in the irons, Farda Amiga went to the post at the Spa as the third betting choice for the 122nd running of the Alabama, and she once again came away victorious. As one turf writer put it, her Kentucky Oaks win had been unexpected, while the path leading to the Alabama triumph was unusual given the long layoff. Farda Amiga would once again be rested and would train until the Breeders' Cup Distaff at Arlington Park. Facing older, she would finish second to eventual Horse of the Year Azeri as the 4th betting choice. And the performance would put the finishing touch on a championship season as the best 3-year-old filly in the U.S. Retired to the breeding shed, Farda Amiga produced a number of foals in the U.S. before being relocated to Brazil to continue her career as a broodmare. We remember the champion filly as Keeneland gets ready to begin its Marathon September Yearling Sale. This edition of the Stroll is dedicated in memory of Stuart Angus, who helped raise Farda Amiga during his time at Payson Park Stud. Please join me again next week when I take another Stroll Through Racing History presented by Keeneland. For HRRN, I'm Kurt Becker.
Nobody weaves a story together like Kurt Becker. My thanks to Kurt for that story. If you missed any of Kurt's Stroll Through Racing History segments, check out the Stroll Through Racing History page on our website, horseracingradio.net, and you can listen to all of those shows. And don't forget, too, about our weekly Brisnet.com call-in show, 6 to 7 Eastern, every Thursday with Bobby Newman and James Scully. It is your chance to call in and talk racing with our experts. Every Thursday, 6 to 7 Eastern, here on HRRN. Coming up next, I Ask, They Answer with Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Join us at Kentucky Downs August 28th through September 10th, showcasing 7 days of racing with more than $40 million in purses, including the country's richest 3-year-old turf race, the Nashville Derby, on Saturday, August 30th. The meet boasts the largest field sizes in America, with 6 $2 million races on September 6th and 11 of 19 stakes worth at least $1 million for Kentucky breds, along with 2 Breeders' Cup win-in-your-in races during the meet. Reserved seats on sale now at themintkenktuckydowns.com. There's unique, and there's Kentucky Downs.
Top consignor Scott Mallory has an exciting group of horses on offer at the Keeneland September Yearling Sale. From solid Book 1 horses by sires like Uncle Mo and Curlin, as well as exciting freshman sire Charlatan. Offerings in Books 2 through 5 include horses by proven sires like Liam's Map, Omaha Beach, Violence, and newcomers such as Drain the Clock, Olympiad, and Jack Christopher.
Don't miss the Scott Mallory consignment starting in Barn 15 at Keeneland September.
Join us at Kentucky Downs August 28th through September 10th, showcasing 7 days of racing with more than $40 million in purses, including the country's richest 3-year-old turf race, the Nashville Derby, on Saturday, August 30th. The meet boasts the largest field sizes in America, with 6 $2 million races on September 6th and 11 of 19 stakes worth at least $1 million for Kentucky breds, along with 2 Breeders' Cup win-in-your-in races during the meet. Reserved seats on sale now at themintkenktuckydowns.com. There's unique, and there's Kentucky Downs.
This is I Ask, They Answer on the Equine Forum on HRRN.
It's Phileas Fogg opening up a 4-length lead at the top of the stretch. Highland Falls on the outside. White Arborio, Sierra Leone angles to the center of the racetrack, has 7 lengths to make up on Phileas Fogg as Antiquarian has taken up the chase. Phileas Fogg 1.5 lengths. Antiquarian, Sierra Leone 5 lengths back. It's either Phileas Fogg or Antiquarian, or Sierra Leone coming late. Antiquarian, Sierra Leone. Antiquarian has won the Jockey Club Gold Cup under John Velasquez. Sierra Leone finished second, and in behind them it was Phileas Fogg and Highland Falls.
Frank Miramonte with the call of Antiquarian emerging victorious in last Saturday's controversial and roughly run Jockey Club Gold Cup, but is the winner of this year's Breeders' Cup Classic among those who finished behind him. We'll discuss. Plus, Dale shed some light on picking the best spots for your horses, and how do Dale and Tim feel about racing having a designated off season? All of that and much, much more is straight ahead on this week's edition of I Ask, They Answer with trainer Dale Romans and turf rider Tim Wilkin, and all presented by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program and the College of Business. And it all comes your way just 30 seconds from right now.
A spark turns into a dream, and your dreams fuel a love that will last a lifetime. Turn your passion into a career with experienced guidance, a thorough study of equine business, as well as opportunities to get your hands dirty and put your mind to work. Located in the heart of horse country, let your passion fuel your profession at the U of L Equine Industry Program. Apply today.
Well, Dale, first of all, we want to congratulate you on your big win with Pharaoh's Wine in the One Dreamer Stakes this past week. Well done, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a big win for her. Puts her up to $850,000, and she's just a nice mare.
And it's all in the family for you with this horse, right?
Yeah, it's the 4th generation I've trained out of that female line, and they've all been nice horses. I bought the first one, 20 years ago for $75,000, and it's done nothing but do good for us.
Oh, congratulations. That is fantastic. Good luck, by the way, in the Old Dominion Stakes at Colonial Downs as well. The Dale Romans train just keeps on rolling, and we're going to talk about another talented runner that he has in his barn by the name of Bob Roski later in the program. But, guys, we're going to begin with buy or sell. We love playing these types of games here on the show, and we will do it with the next 3 topics. So you tell me, are you buying or selling the following statements? After being no match for fierceness in last Saturday's Pacific Classic, journalism should still be viewed as a legitimate Breeders' Cup Classic contender. Tim Wilkin, buy or sell?
I'm buying that one. I mean, journalism, he's got 7 starts this year, 4 wins in 3 seconds, and the only 3 horses that have beaten him this year are Fierceness and
Sovereignty. He's part of a very talented 3-year-old class because of journalism and because of himself in Sovereignty. Granted, the older horse division is much stronger than it was last year, but I think you have to put him in the mix of horses that can win the Classic. In the 41 years of the Breeders' Cup, 14 3-year-olds have won it, including Sierra Leone last year. He's got to have a chance in that, of course. Be stupid to say he doesn't.
This is Steele. This is American Revolution.
All right. Well, I'm going to be stupid then because I'm going to sell. Yeah, I think that I'm going to make a bold prediction. You see him show up in the Breeders' Cup Mile. I think he's as talented as anybody, but I'm not so sure that a 1.25 miles is his best distance. And all the second place finishes were in 1.25 miles races. I know, and they had no excuses for losing any of them other than didn't beat at the distance. I think he'd be a super miler, and that's where I predict he ends up running. I mean, Michael did it before with Life is Good, and it worked out well. So this is just a strong group this year. It's going to be the best Breeders' Cup Classic ever. I agree with that. Stays together.
Yeah, super talented group. Guys, let's stick with the Classic division then. Despite that impressive performance by Fierceness in the Pacific Classic, you have to say Sierra Leone and Mindframe are still more likely to be standing in the winner's circle of this year's Classic, right? Buy or sell? Tim?
Why do you have to say that? I'm gonna sell that one. I mean, Fierceness was very impressive when he won the Pacific Classic with Johnny V. The knock on him has always been that everything has to go right for him in order to win. Everything did not go right for him in the Pacific Classic. In fact, a lot of things went really wrong starting at the start when he veered in towards the temporary rail, almost dumped Johnny. And, the fact that he was able to hold that horse together, and then he got behind a wall of horses, and he was able to find his way through and win. Other than journalism, he didn't beat a lot, but he still overcame adversity to win. And Todd Pletcher has said many times, when he's right, he can beat everybody. And he was right that day, and if he stays right, he's going to be he might be the best of the Pletcher trio that's going into the Classic. I mean, he's dangerous for sure. Yeah, you got to sell this. They're not the only two. This is such a deep field. There could be a lot of good horses. The Fierceness race was outstanding, but so was Sovereignty's. But there's a bunch behind them that are awfully good too. So it's hard to say those two are the two. One of those two is going to win the race.
Okay, well, how about this one? Because this horse could prove to be a wild card. You have the 2023 Breeders' Cup Classic champion, White Barrio. He really needed a strong showing in last weekend's Jockey Club Gold Cup, but after getting caught up in the chaos, that did not happen. Buy or sell White Barrio as being capable of adding a second Classic win to his resume 8 weeks from today. Dale, buy or sell?
I'm selling that. I think his best days are behind him. It was great resume, good horse, but I don't think he's up to the snuff with this group this year. I'm going to sell as well. White Barrio, I mean, you almost have to throw out the Jockey Club Gold Cup because of the way the race was, and he was fourth. That's the third straight race. He's finished fourth. And he's 6 years old, and in the history of the Breeders' Cup Classic, a 6-year-old has never won the Classic. And if you want the breakdown for it, Dale, I got it if you want it. Let's hear you. Since you did all the research, let's hear it. All right. Well, 10 5-year-olds have won it, 14 3-year-olds have won it, and 17 4-year-olds have won it. So a 6-year-old has never won it. I don't think White Barrio is going to be the one that breaks that skid. I agree that he's, his best days are behind him. I mean, his first 2 wins came this year. One was the Pegasus World Cup, both in Gulfstream. And I've always maintained that he's a better horse at Gulfstream than he is anywhere else, even though he did win the Whitney and the Breeders' Cup in 2023. But overall, he does his best work in Florida. So, nice horse, but I don't think he's a factor in this year's Breeders' Cup, if indeed he goes there.
Hey, Tim, he won the Breeders' Cup Classic 2 years ago.
I just don't think he's the same horse. He's not the horse that, I know that Saffie was very high on him going into the Jockey Club Gold Cup. And, you can't hold what happened against him in that race, but he still finished fourth and, off 2 other fourth-place finishes both at Saratoga and the Mile and the Whitney. I just don't see. I don't see him being on the same level as some of these other older horses right now.
Okay.
Or on the same level that he was. Father Time catches up with all athletes.
Yep.
Father Time is undefeated.
Yes, it is. Well, you know who else has a tendency to be undefeated? At least he has throughout much of his Hall of Fame career. That is Hall of Famer Nick Zito. And Dale and Tim get to tell me if the following statement is right or wrong as we say hi to Nick Zito.
Yeah, right or wrong? Am I right? What do you think? Right or wrong?
Well, Nicky maybe not undefeated, but he won an awful lot of races in this Hall of Fame career. Guys, what do the winners of the aforementioned Pacific Classic and the Jockey Club Gold Cup have in common? Well, they were both ridden by 53-year-old Hall of Fame jockey John Velasquez, who also scored in the Grade 1 Hopeful. You can have any other jockey in history. I will take Johnny V, and I will beat you more often than not. Am I right or wrong?
What do you think? Right or wrong?
Dale?
I'm going to say you're right. One of, if not the greatest of all time. I was with him yesterday and we were talking about it. He doesn't age. It just gets better and better.
This might be one of his best years.
It has to be one of the best weeks ever. Definitely has to be. That was phenomenal. The last part of August was all, and first part of September was awfully good to Johnny.
Yep.
This is a really, really tough question. When you're saying Johnny V basically against everyone in history, that's a tough question. Johnny V, there's no doubt, he has the credentials. He's the all-time leading money winner. He's like, I think, 12th in all-time wins. But man, you're talking about Cordero and Pinkai and Mike Smith and Jerry Bailey, and the list goes on and on. I think it's apples and oranges. These guys are all great. Mike Smith, another one, all great riders. If you had to pick one of them to win a race and your life depended on it, is Johnny V the guy? He might be. But some of those other guys, too, you'd feel very comfortable that you'd be living the next day if your life depended on it. If you put Jerry Bailey or Angel Cordero or Lafitte Pinkai on one of your horses. And, in the days of Cordero and Pinkai, they didn't have the earnings that Johnny V has because the purses weren't as big back then. I love Johnny V as a rider, but I don't know if I want to take him over everybody else. And I think I'm going to take everybody else.
Johnny V.
What person do you pick?
Dale, he's won 7 Grade 1 races this year.
Yeah,
I know.
The question is 53-year-old Johnny as good as 40-year-old Johnny? And I think he is.
I think he is, too. He might be better. Well, boy, Angel Cordero was awful good.
He was good.
Now, there have been some legendary ones. And, yeah, it's kind of an unfair question, but I think Johnny V is right. This is a Captain Obvious statement, guys, but he is right there with the all-time greats we have ever seen in the saddle. And you're right, Timmy. You take him, you feel pretty comfortable you're alive the next day. You take a guy like Mike Smith or somebody else, you feel pretty comfortable you're going to live to see tomorrow.
Absolutely. It's an unfair question. I'm going to put a demerit on you for that one.
I'll try to do better next week as we welcome Nick Zito back to the program for that segment, right or wrong. But we have a few more topics to get to before we wind things down this week on I Ask, They Answer. And one of those comes from our listeners, Rick in Sacramento, California. Dale, he says, you referenced the dwindling numbers of the foal crop in last week's episode of the show and how eventually that could affect racing. With that in mind, what would you think, and this is a question for both of you guys, what would you think of having a racing season? And Rick says, for example, what if the Breeders' Cup were the last races of the year, followed by a 1 or 2 month quote-unquote off-season break like we see in other sports. Like it, love it, or hate it, Dale?
Actually, I like it, but I don't think it's feasible. I don't think you can do it. There's important races year-round. There's horses that give themselves vacations by getting hurt that happen to be fresh and ready to run when you would have your off-season. I mean, it's not like other sports where you can just turn off the lights and come back in 3 months. These horses you got to run them when they're good. Can you hear all the horses behind me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm at the WinStar Farm looking at babies right now. One of my favorite things to do. But so we just took a weanling out. They're all hollering and screaming. Can you walk for me? But I mean, it's in a perfect world that'd be great, but I just don't think it's feasible.
I don't think it is either. It's if you shut down horse racing for, let's say, December and January, what happens to races like the Cigar Mile? What happens to the Pegasus World Cup? It's in January. What happens to the Malibu out in California? A lot of these smaller outfits, too, depend on winter racing because that's when a lot of them make their money. I mean, I don't think you can just – and these horses, it's not like they have an off-season like the MLB or the NFL. It's not like they just have relaxation. A lot of these horses still need to train every day. They go out every day, and I just don't think it would work. I mean, it's what would happen? And yeah, granted, the handles go down in December and January, but still, I think last year it was like $792 million was wagered in December. People still bet, not as much maybe, but they still bet. I just think that the sport should go on, and it always has gone on, and it will go on.
Yeah, Rick's premise for the question is the dwindling numbers of the foal crops, it is a fact, and it very well could affect field sizes and likely will affect field sizes across the board in the future. And I think that's where he's coming from. How do you combat that? Is that one way to combat it? We don't think that will work logistically. So, guys, let me throw this one at you. What's another way to combat what we're seeing with the dwindling foal numbers?
Well, I think you got to figure out why it's so expensive to raise a foal. I think that's the biggest problem. And there's only so many of them are going to bring enough money to cover their costs of being raised at the sales. But I think bigger purse structures like we're having right now and, being able to run more horses in more places. I think, though, if you took 2 months off, less racing could be counterproductive because people need a place to run and make their money back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially for the horses that aren't running for those big money purses.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Rick, that's a good question. Keep them coming, by the way. If you have a question for Dale and Tim, you can email the show like Rick did. That's Mike@horseracingradio.net, or you can post your question on our social media pages, and we will get that worked into the show for you. Shane in North Carolina emails the show. Dale, he wants to know, how is Bobrovsky doing, and where is he likely to be pointed next?
Bobrovsky's doing great. I mean, he ran big 2 races at Saratoga, so I thought about running him Kentucky Downs, decided to skip and give him a little more time between races. He's going to run October 5th at Keeneland in their 5.5 turf race. If he runs big there, we'll take him to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint and then decide if we want to go back to the dirt and try to make him a Derby horse next year.
Well, that's kind of part 2 of Shane's question. He said with the early Kentucky Derby points races beginning this fall, is there a certain race or a certain track that you like to point for, and what goes into making those decisions when you have a horse that could potentially be on the Derby trail?
I like to train in Florida, so Gulfstream would be my racetrack. But I always say that I plot out weekends, not races, because there's always – I mean, you try to see where everybody else is going, where the best place is to pick up points, and where you think your horse could perform the best. So everything's on the table, but he'll be training at Gulfstream.
Is he back in Kentucky now?
Yeah, he got back in Kentucky 2 days ago, went to the track today, looked really good.
What do you think the chances are, Dale, that he turns out to be a Derby caliber type horse on the dirt?
he's got the talent, and he ran well on the dirt. I just figured it'd be a good way to duck the heavy heads along the way and, get him further down the road before we have to start making those decisions. But he's got a shot.
Well, Shane, that's a good question.
Yeah, what happens if he continues to flourish on the grass?
Well, then I'll have some decisions to make. And the good thing about it is I own half of them, so I'll have to make them all myself.
Maybe the next Kitten's Joy.
There wouldn't be anything wrong with that.
No, not at all. Shane, we appreciate the question. Getting ready to wrap up the show with our final point of the week, but first an update on the Showdown 4. Dale, you continue to lead the way. The two-time defending champion looking to make it 3 in a row. Dale, you have 64 points thanks to journalism and his second-place finish in the Pacific Classic. Tim, you're sitting in second with 44. I had Fierceness, the winner of the Pacific Classic, so I've edged a little closer to you, Timmy. I have 41 points, and folks can go check out the scoring and see our teams on our website at horseracingradio.net. I have Spirit of St. Louis going in the millions at Kentucky Downs later today, so I could potentially move into second, but he's going to need a big run.
Well, I had a lost weekend last week because I had Nysos and he was scratched, and I had Mindframe who lost to Irad Ortiz and was a DNF. So lost weekend for me. I think I left some points there on the board, on the table.
Yeah,
but can't get them back.
Only
Surprise,
8 weeks
surprise.
remaining in the Showdown.
Yeah, surprise, who's on the lead here. But I don't think Timmy's in a very good position. Most of his horses going to run against each other.
That's okay. You ever heard of a dead heat?
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, Dale has a commanding 20-point lead as we move into the to the far turn, if you will, in this week's or this year's Showdown 4 competition. All right, guys, time to wrap it up as we do every week. Your final point of the week. Tim Wilkin, why don't you kick it off for us?
Well, I'm going to give a shout-out to Jenny Reese. We all know Jenny for long-time work at the Courier-Journal in Louisville, and she's been working tirelessly at Kentucky Downs the last few years and doing a great job at that meet because I worked with her for a couple of years. And this is her last one, and she's leaving that position. And believe me, next year the head honchos at Kentucky Downs are not going to know what they're missing with Jenny Reese not being on their ship anymore.
A true Hall of Famer.
Indeed.
Dale, what do you got?
I said, first of all, that's true. Jenny is great at what she does. I got to spend a little time with her yesterday. She does a great job. But I just want to give a shout-out to Kentucky Downs as a whole, and especially for the way they've changed their camera system. I think that those tracks are going to follow it. It's pretty cool. You can see up so close to all the horses running.
They got those drones, don't they?
It's great. It's really cool.
It's so much better than it used to be. It is really cool.
Great presentation. Guys, appreciate it. We're going to do this all over again next weekend. Dale, good luck at Colonial Downs later today.
Thanks, fellas. Talk to you later.
Good luck at the sale.
Yep, that's where we're headed.
Future stars for Dale Romans. That Keeneland September Yearling Sale should be gangbusters as usual. All right, guys, appreciate it. We're going to do it all over again next weekend. If you have a topic you want to hear Dale and Tim discuss, email it to me, Mike, at horseracingradio.net. We'll do our best to get it worked into the show. You can also post them on our social media pages. I Ask the Answer is presented every week by the University of Louisville, Equine Industry Program in the College of Business. I'm back with more and the answer to this week's impossible trivia question next. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
Did you know? VA home loans are a key to home ownership for those who served.
I would tell anybody who is interested in getting a VA loan to just do it.
For me, the best thing about the VA loan was the simplicity of it. I was expecting, government paperwork. It was going to go on forever, and it just wasn't.
Since the down payment for a VA loan is minimal, we were able to purchase this home and then use the money that we were going to use as a down to actually fix up the home.
And the only way we could do that was because the nest egg that we had saved for the down payment, we didn't have to use because we went the VA route.
This is a wonderful benefit that veterans can take advantage of.
In the military, we make a lot of sacrifices. We're away from our family a lot. And with the VA loan, it's a way that it makes it easier for us to get a home.
To learn more about VA home loans, visit va.gov/home loans.
Dear VetTix, it was nice to spend the night with my daughter and other veterans. It's so humbling to attend an event when you feel appreciated.
I had a wonderful time with my family. Thank you for the memories, VetTix.
Dear VetTix, thank you for a great experience and for your support of the military and veterans.
Thank you so much, VetTix. Our family has gone through a lot the last few years, and this gave us a nice break.
Every empty seat at a concert, game, or special event is a missed opportunity to say thank you to a veteran or a service member. By giving your extra tickets to VetTix, you'll help America's heroes reduce stress, strengthen family bonds, and create a truly happy memory that will last a lifetime. So when you really want to say thank you for your service, give the experience, give the memory. VetTix. Give something to those who gave. For more information on how you can make a difference, go to vettix.org.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then, someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Check out the all-new HorseRacingRadio.net. All the same great horse racing radio content in a new, easy-to-use design. Listen to all of our shows streaming live or access the replays anytime. See our schedule, sign up for our newsletter, download our latest podcasts, and so much more. It's all on our website at HorseRacingRadio.net. That's HorseRacingRadio.net. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
As they come towards the top of the stretch and Adrastea out on the periphery. They're followed by Greyosh, who's back towards the inside from Pharaoh's Wine. Waves of Mischief out deep at the rear. As they head for home with a quarter mile left to go. Watchtower and the Gold Cup. V-Verve to her immediate inside. And back on the inside, Sparkle Blue tries to hang tough. Pharaoh's Wine is putting in a spurt down the outside from Adrastea. Pharaoh's Wine with a big burst. Adrastea, Sparkle Blue kicks on. It's Pharaoh's Wine on the outside from Sparkle Blue. Pharaoh's Wine wins the One Dreamer. Sparkle Blue second, Adrastea third. I think Greyosh up for fourth, just in front of V-Verve and Watchtower. And Waves of Mischief trailed them home.
Yeah, big win for Dale Romans. That's the way it sounded at Kentucky Downs on Thursday when Pharaoh's Wine got the victory. And as we were talking about that at the beginning of I Asked They Answer, and Dale was walking through all of the generations of Pharaoh's Wine that he has been involved with training, that's really cool. And he talked about all the other members of that generation that ended up winning at Kentucky Downs. So it is truly all in the family. Congratulations to Dale. Again, he can keep it rolling this afternoon in the Old Dominion Stakes coming up at Colonial Downs. Macero is his entrant in there, 8-1 on the morning line. Going to have to do better than he did last time out at Ellis Park, where he finished 7th, but looking to rebound. He has to square off with World Beater, who is going to be a handful in the Grade 3 Old Dominion. Colonial Downs race 10, post time 4:55 Eastern. That's 1:55 for those of you tuned in out on the West Coast. Don't forget to stay up to date with the Keeneland September sales, and you can keep up with results and all the happenings with Blood Horse Daily, your free all-access pass to the latest in thoroughbred racing and breeding, delivered straight to your inbox every evening. It is packed with breaking news, race results, analysis, and so much more. Don't miss any fast-paced racing news. Sign up today at bloodhorse.com/daily. That's bloodhorse.com/daily to get your daily edge in racing, all for free. Time now to check in with Lee Dellapina. He has the answer to this week's impossible trivia question. Lee, what do you got?
Thank you, Mike. What was the name of the thoroughbred who was 2-year-old champ in 1907, 3-year-old champ in 1908, and retired undefeated after winning all 15 of his starts? That was the all-time great Colin. Inducted into the Racing Hall of Fame in 1956, it was 80 years before another horse, Personal Ensign, retired undefeated.
How about that? Did you get it right? I hope you did. We're back with another impossible trivia question on next Saturday's edition of the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires. You know, one of the topics I threw out there, Tim called it an unfair question on I Asked the Answer. It was when I asked him, okay, I'll take John Velasquez. You can have any other Hall of Fame jockey, any rider in history. I'll take Johnny V, and I'm going to beat you more often than not. Listen, I get it. It truly is impossible. That's probably a good way to put it. I don't know about unfair, though. I think when you look at the all-time greats, and forget about the earnings record, John Velasquez has won more money than any jockey in history, over $505 million or something like that. But he's also riding in an era where the money is much, much greater. He's competing for much bigger purses. So you're going to see modern riders up toward the top of the earnings list when you look at the all-time standings. But when you look at wins, Russell Bays, of course, leads the way, 12,842. He's followed by Lafitte Pincay Jr., Bill Shoemaker, 8,833. You got Pat Day in fourth. Perry Utes sitting in fifth. Perry Utes is not talked about as being one of the all-time greats because he's never competed on that stage. Yes, he's ridden in some races that were high-profile races, but for the most part, he has been a big fish in a small pond his entire career. But he's fifth all-time on the wins list. Then Chris McCarron, Edgar Prado, Angel Cordero Jr., Mario Pino, and John Velasquez. Johnny, 6,795 wins. The reason I brought up that topic is because of the year that John Velasquez is having. He has been sensational. All those Grade 1 victories here in 2025 at the age of 53. I'm 54, so he's still a young man in my opinion. But the guy just continues to get it done. And as Dale and Tim pointed out, he might be better now than he was even in his 40s. Experience matters, and Johnny's got it. He's got talent. He's got it all. Kudos to him. Well done. My thanks to all of our guests for making this show possible on this Saturday morning, including Kurt Becker for a Stroll Through Racing History, Dale and Tim in the previous segment, Joe Kristufek for the TwinSpires Triple Play. My thanks to my producer, Lee Delapina, in our Lexington studios, and to Chauncey for handling all of our social media, and to all of you for tuning in to the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires. I'm Mike Penna. Thanks for listening. Bring on the Jets. Go Steelers.